Part 29. Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Swan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 284. Okay, welcome everyone to the first issue of the first season of our Hello Life Partner Dance Conference. Evening. When the setting sun gradually disappeared into the distant horizon, the guests from Whale Village gathered in the nightlife ballroom. They were all dressed up brightly. Even Gu Huiyan rarely adjusted his style and wore a more oxygen-rich blue suit. Blue color clothes. Recently, classmate Xiao Gu cut her hair short because of filming. Her refreshing appearance and blue-colored clothes really give people a sense of déjà vu. Correspondingly, as his partner, Shang Zuoyan wore a pink cake skirt. This skirt looked familiar, but it was not the one that was stained by Gu Huiyan when she was in Yunnan. The color number was wrong. This skirt looked familiar. A bit more pink. For her top, she chose a silver-white strapless camisole inlaid with sparkling sequins and bewlings. The color of this dress was somewhat similar to the haute couture dress she wore during the concert, so it suited her very well. It is worth mentioning that Shang Zuoyan's eye makeup today. She has a tear mole in the corner of her eye. That is her characteristic and her recognition. Today, there are some sparkles on the edge of the tear mole. When the light shines on her, she just like the girl who shines the brightest in the center of the stage. Wow! When the cameras showed Shang Zuoyan, the audience who had been watching her all day couldn't help but want to be amazed. As a versatile girl, Shang Zuoyan really has a different look when wearing an outfit. She is really both salty and sweet. In terms of style, she has never lost to anyone. You can see that although the other female guests are all dressed up for the performance tonight, and although they are all glamorous, she always stands out. In fact, Pei Jingshu and Shang Zuoyan are really two extremes. As for Pei Jingshu, because her face is quite stunning and her temperament is like that of Qing Lian who came out of the world, she feels different from ordinary female celebrities. She is born just the type that gets noticed. As for Shang Zuoyan, she is a female star, she is glamorous, and among a group of female stars, she has the most outstanding figure and the best dress. No one is good or bad, I can only say that they are all terrible. Will I be exposed, Gu Huiyan? Teacher. He was walking through the process in the center of the stage. Both sides were also aggressive, but Shang Zuoyan, who was sitting on the side, was a little worried. She carefully adjusted the wheat on her chest and turned sideways to hide behind Gu Huiyan. She was always afraid that her clothes would be exposed. This dress was too low. Is it okay? Gu Huiyan used his coat to protect her, and asked with a curious and puzzled smile. You haven't cared about these things before, right? Gu Huiyan remembered that Shang Zuoyan never cared about these details when she performed on stage. Anyway, there were underwear inside the clothes. There were several times when she performed on stage and her clothes were too loose and the suspenders slipped off her shoulders without panic. She could hold the suspenders while dancing. Pull it up. When did Xiaoma Shang Zuoyan become such a forward-thinking girl? You know nothing. Shang Zuoyan pursed her lips and gave Gu Huiyan a big eye roll, because she was hiding behind Gu Huiyan and fixing the wheat on her chest, and Gu Huiyan happened to be beside her to block it for her, so actually the two of them were quite close, and since she was talking about exposed, Gu Huiyan couldn't help but glance over there. What are you looking at? You stinky pervert. When she noticed this, Shang Zuoyan grabbed Gu Huiyan's arm angrily and smacked her, which hurt Gu Huiyan. He bared his teeth, but Shang Zuoyan glared at him with some resentment. She muttered angrily. I didn't want it when I gave it to you. I didn't give it to you but peeked at it? I really don't know who it is. To be honest, the camera didn't show either of them at this moment. They were all facing teacher He, otherwise you can see whether they collapsed or not. Okay. Let's invite the first group of performers, they are. After going through the process and thanking the sponsors, Teacher he gave priority to the three popular girls from the highly anticipated hard candy super sweet group, Soo Shiun, Shen Yuki, and Han Zionji. Oh! Pa bang! Everyone cheered and applauded, giving the first group confidence. Even Gu Huiyan was applauding. To be honest, although it was also a competition, compared to last week, this week's performance was obviously not as explosive. It's all just for fun in a variety show, who takes it seriously? Dong dong dong. Following the dynamic music, Soo Shiun, Shen Yuki, and Han Zionji stood in regular positions and began their performances. It is worth mentioning that the clothes they wear today are more retro, with a sense of Hong Kong style in the 1980s, with bell-bottom pants, floral shirts, and other things that are very online. The song they chose was also the latest disco-style single released by their group. Because of its high freshness and the hard work of the three beauties, the audience was filled with cheers at the end. Oh ho! Ah! What's funny is that when the camera showed Gu Huiyan, the guy in front of his eyes actually started shouting. Soo Shiun! Shen Yuki! Han Zionji! I still call people by their names, just like the fans who are cheering for me. Shang Zuoyan lowered her head as if she was embarrassed, letting her hair cover her head. She wanted to express that she didn't recognize this fake fan. Ahaha! The audience laughed like crazy, and fans of Gu Huiyan's family also said that the gangster in our family has embarrassed everyone, please bear with me. The second group is Sister Zhang Yao, Xiang Ziyi, and Shen Qingqing. Compared to Soo Shiun and the others, the performances of these three are a bit underwhelming. There is no way, among the three girls, neither Sister Zhang Yao nor Xiang Ziyi can be said to be professional. Although Shen Qingqing, a little girl, has a background in women's team drafts, it is a pity that she is a dabbler. She can't even hold a half-full bowl of water. She can't expect anything from her. Besides, the rehearsal time for the three of them is indeed not long. Even if the instructor is Shang Zuoyan, it is really foolish to dream of being able to compete with Soo Shiun and the others in just a few hours. As expected, their votes were pitifully low, 1/3 of Soo Shiun's. Everyone's eyes were still sharp, no matter how coquettishly the little clip acted, it was of no use. After them, it was Zheng Yunbin, Zhang Mi, and Chen Feng's turn. These three are quite capable, especially Zheng Yunbin. I don't know if this guy's somersault last week was so effective. This time in terms of choreography. He just came out with somersaults. Then came a very intense break dancing solo. Oh! The whole place was ignited at once. Although Zhang Mi and Chen Feng did not contribute much in the jump, their cooperation was not a problem. In addition, the three of them chose a famous disco song from the 1980s, which immediately triggered a wave of memory killing. The final number of votes, as expected, was higher than the first group performance by Soo Shiun and others. The pressure is now on our last group. Teacher he chuckled and looked at Gu Huiyan and Shang Zuoyan. In fact, everyone knows that the biggest highlights tonight are Gu Huiyan and Shang Zuoyan. No matter how hot the previous performances are, they are also the finale, which shows. Now the votes on their side are very low, while the votes for the two performances on the opposite side are very high. If Gu Huiyan and Shang Zuoyan perform poorly this time, they may lose. So there is definitely pressure. Oh! Pa bang bang! Come on! The scene created the atmosphere of a music bar. The lights were very dim. The guests were sitting there, and there were also some staff from the program team who acted as the atmosphere team. As Gu Huiyan and Shang Zuoyan took the stage, all kinds of shouts and applause could be heard. Obviously, everyone is looking forward to their performance. It's already evening, probably around 8 o'clock. This is the time when nightlife begins. In fact, you can say that the atmosphere in urban bars is nothing more than this. In a dark space, in a hazy field of vision, alcohol and hormones burst into the air. The feeling. Boom. As Gu Huiyan and Shang Zuoyan took the stage, the lights in the ballroom suddenly dimmed. Dangerous Party. A song title gradually appeared on the big screen. When such a song title with trendy elements appeared in the audience's field of vision, many viewers' eyes lit up. Obviously, this is a new song composed by Gu Huiyan. At present, Gu Huiyan's works and song titles are actually quite satisfactory. He rarely follows trends. He even started a trend himself, so today's song title will make people feel that it is rare and fresh. Judging from the title of the song, I feel that it should be a very exciting work. After all, the word party comes out. Everyone is still looking forward to what kind of performance Gu Huiyan can bring to everyone. *U0026 amp %UN hashtag at #U0026 amp. There were constant noises and discussions, but as buzz, dong dong. A prelude of music that gradually grew stronger and weaker sounded, and the discussion at the scene slowly faded away. When the prelude started, some people at the scene felt that they had a bad taste, because the lights on the entire stage were filled with a layer of purple. A well-known singer once said that purple is very charming. He sincerely doesn't deceive me, okay. Dong dong. When the drum beat came in, everyone's bodies moved involuntarily to the melody of the song. The melody of the song was just like its intro. It just came up, and the more you listened, the more you got excited. It is worth mentioning that the positions of him and Shang Zuoyan cannot be said to be very strict. They just happened to stand in the center of the stage without even making a dance move. But when the melody sounded and the light slowly cooled them down, their movements came with just raising their hands. Shang Zuoyan is like a little wildcat, dancing with the dim light, her sexy waist, raising her two arms, swaying regularly like waves, with a perfect waist and a chic swing, her hair turned around, and the camera gave her that disdainful expression. All of a sudden, the whole audience was ignited. The barrage was even more violent. Wife. Yanyan is my wife. MD, you are so sexy, I love you so much. At this moment, the female idol of domestic entertainment must be Shang Zuoyan. Sometimes you really have to admire Shang Zuoyan, and I don't know if it is because of her figure and appearance. Although her dancing is not advanced, she is always so attractive when she dances. Su Xiun, Shen Yuqi, and Han Zionji's performances just now are no worse than hers in terms of action and enjoyment, but you feel that Shang Zuoyan is just making an appearance, giving them seconds with just a few simple movements, okay. Just a few of her moves can make many viewers scratch their heads. What is the C position? It is worth mentioning that after turning around and walking away, she put her hands on Gu Huiyan's shoulders. The appearance that Gu Huiyan designed for himself was very handsome. Just now, he was carrying his back, and now Shang Zuoyan finished dancing. He turned around, and Shang Zuoyan just put her hands on his shoulders, spread her legs and lowered her waist, as if licking his chest. That move. Wow! It caught everyone's attention at once. Hey! Before entering the main song, Gu Huiyan raised his hand and shouted, as if to adjust the atmosphere. As for the main song, it just follows the drum beats and comes so lightly. Your light shines like gold, gradually invading my eyes. What kind of tone should I use to make you nod in your heart? I can't guess your taste. It's a danger I can't detect. Don't talk about leaving. When you come closer to me. The two of them danced and swayed their waists to the melody and Gu Huiyan's lyrics. When Shang Zuoyan is strong, Gu Huiyan is not weak either. This boy shows off the same energy as when he danced Troublemaker with Shang Zuoyan. Every move is spot on, and very sultry. Some people at the scene were already shouting crazy, such as Sister Zhang Yao, Xiang Zi, and other girls. What they shouted about was not only the dance of Gu Huiyan and Shang Zuoyan, but also the song Dangerous Party. Let me tell you, This song is really suitable for this kind of atmosphere. The dark purple lights render the dim stage, and various elements such as ambiguity, love, alcohol, hormones, etc. are blended together. The camera gives them every moment. A picture that makes people both embarrassed and fond of watching it. I didn't grasp the rhythm of your heartbeat. In exchange for a bunch of excuses. Don't be the reason for my heartbreak. Don't hurt me, baby. Don't hurt me. Gu Huiyan was bending down when singing this section. The flow was very impressive and it was also a very authentic rap. Oh! Some people at the scene had goosebumps, and even Zheng Yunbin said in amazement. This song is really well written. What is very surprising and refreshing is that Gu Huiyan's Dangerous Party is actually a rap-style song, and it is not a tricky rap like Listen to Mom, but a very pure hip-hop style. Hop. Zheng Yunbin was actually a little dissatisfied with losing to Gu Huiyan in rap last week. He felt that Listen to Mom was a bit of a bonus due to its subject matter. Rap singers thought they were bad boys, but he sang to his mother. This was a gimmick advantage in itself. I was thinking about having a chance to compete with Gu Huiyan this week. Who knew that Gu Huiyan came out with a song called Dangerous Party? This song is simply impeccable in terms of the single and double lyrics, the arrangement, and the live dance. It's the kind of song that can make waves in the domestic rap circle. Authentic rap. The key is that there are no offensive lyrics in it, no rhythm, and no rapper anger, just some ambiguous emotions. This gives people a great sensory experience with it. Nowadays, those bullshit rappers don't know what to write all day long. They have a rap show where whoever loses and whoever refuses to accept will write lyrics that attack the opponent in the next episode and curse them on the stage. That's the kind of thing. You can obviously scold directly, but you insist on writing a song and go on stage to grandstand, and the scolding is embarrassing, and there is a group of people there who are yelling at you and saying that you dare to scold. What's the point? It's really embarrassing to sing and curse people on stage with that kind of easy-to-understand vernacular, isn't it? When the lyrics become like vernacular, what do we want when listening to the songs? Can you just listen to the book? You don't have the eyes to see, okay? I really don't understand why those rappers think that the audience likes singing like this. What's even more confusing is why there are so many idiots who think it's easy to cheer and applaud. Are they such dogs? What do you feed them? Isn't it shit if you don't even differentiate? What? In comparison, works like Dangerous Party are really conscientious works. Tell me how you feel now. The look in your eyes is so obvious. Don't put off the results until tomorrow. When singing this section, Gu Huiyan slowed down his dance steps slightly, and Shang Xuan no longer clung to him like she always did with Gu Huiyan, and Gu Huiyan also gave her the chorus. Maybe we just slow down. Anyone but you're so wrong. When the music starts playing again, even your breaths are clashing. Put my heart in your palm and fall under your gaze. Enjoying the swaying dance party. Shang Xuan's voice is very unique. This chorus is no worse than all the previous rap verses. It is very recognizable and memorable, and it even plays a finishing touch. When Shang Xuan was singing, the lights started to get brighter, and there were some jet devices at the scene, which heightened the whole atmosphere. Some people just wondered why there were no lyrics by Shang Xuan from the beginning until now, but now they understand and have been waiting here for a long time. Ah! Many people at the scene were shouting crazy, and it felt a bit over the top. On the one hand, Shang Xuan danced really seductively, and on the other hand, the song was also beautifully written. The chorus lines are simply not suitable for female voices, especially when Shang Xuan sings. It will be very touching. It's over, it's over. Shen Yuki covered her face with a look of desperation, grabbed a few strands of her short hair, hugged Su Xiun in despair, and said, "There is no hope, we are going to lose again." Gu Huiyan really has a killer move. In terms of this performance, who can compare with him? Zheng Yunbin and the others thought the same way. In fact, they had only performed until now, and they felt like they had no hope. But who knew that behind this song, Gu Huiyan also hid other killer moves? Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Xuan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 285. Chapter 281 I like you, Shang Zuoyan, just like you said, it's not that difficult. In ordinary songs, it's almost time to enter the interlude when it reaches the chorus. There is basically a pause in the middle, which is almost always divided into the verse and chorus at both ends of a b. In everyone's eyes, this song Dangerous Party probably has the same structure. But who knows? Just after a few lines of the chorus, when the camera turned to Shang Zuoyan, she smiled sweetly and winked at the camera, raised her slender jade hand, and stretched out 3 fingers. 1, 2, 3. He said these 3 numbers in a very angry way, and instantly gave people the feeling of the sound rubbing against the ears, fully displaying the seductiveness. At the next moment, Shang Zuoyan raised her hands very comfortably and shook her slender and tight waist unceremoniously. And Gu Huiyan's voice entered at this moment. Protect your waist with your left hand. I won't touch your back. Hold your heartbeat with your right hand, whether moving forward or backward. If you trust me, raise your hands and spin around in a circle, as if we are standing in the middle of the stage. If our passion. Oh. Halfway through the song, the audience was already shouting. Let me tell you, Gu Huiyan is really good at writing such songs. God knows how well he and Shang Zuoyan fit this song. The lyrics in it are so suitable for the current atmosphere. They simply exaggerate the ambiguous feelings to the extreme. Especially the movement of Shang Zuoyan twisting her waist to follow the lyrics, it made the audience drool. Her waist is very thin, and her belly button is in the shape of a 1. She really seems to shine on stage. Maybe we just slow down. Anyone but you're so wrong. When the music starts playing again, even your breaths are clashing. Put my heart in your hands. The music is still dynamic and the dance steps are still light. In such a melody, even Shang Zuoyan can't help but become happy. Maybe it's not because I want to make myself happy, but because my body is involuntarily infected by the atmosphere. Standing on the stage, facing all kinds of cries of ghosts and howls of wolves, Shang Zuoyan didn't care at all. Her big bright eyes were all filled with the big boy who was also swaying his body happily to the melody. Although today, I don't know how many times I was teased by Gu Huiyan. But I have to say that today is quite unforgettable. This man is very talented, handsome, very careful and caring, and he is the type she likes, but why doesn't he belong to him? So even though tonight's performance was quite enjoyable, and everyone was cheering for it at the end, not surprisingly, their performance even came out on top and helped their side win, but in the end, Shang Zuoyan didn't seem very happy. In the past 6 months, although she felt that she had come out, she still felt inexplicably depressed at certain moments for some reason. She didn't want to do this herself, which was very strange. Let's take a group photo. To celebrate the opening of the nightlife dance hall of the Hello Life Partner program, after a period of joyful disco dancing, teacher he suggested that everyone take a group photo together. Because we had a lot of fun tonight, Gu Huiyan and Shang Zuoyan's song Dangerous Party ignited the whole audience, and there was no smell of gunpowder anymore, so everyone was quite happy when they took the group photo. They were chatting about the interesting things just now, and they were also joking. After 2 episodes of recording, many people had become familiar with each other. Even Gu Huiyan could joke with Su Xiun and the others casually. When taking the group photo, no one cared much about the standing position, whether it was the C position, etc. They basically pushed Mother Zhang and Teacher He to the middle, and the others stood casually. It is worth mentioning that Shen Qingqing, this little clipper, has no eyesight at all. She actually stood between Zhang Ma and teacher He. What we are saying is that even if everyone doesn't care about where you stand, you can't just stand between Zhang Ma and teacher He. The audience couldn't laugh or cry. There was really nothing wrong with calling Sister Qing this time. She was so stupid. To avoid suspicion, Gu Huiyan stood with Sister Zhang Yao and Xiang Ziyi, while Shang Zuoyan stood with her three teammates. Su Xiun and Shen Yuqi obviously know how to take photos together. The two girls smiled like two flowers, one sweet and the other charming, with Shang Zuoyan in the middle. If Shang Zuoyan smiled, she would definitely be brighter than them. But I don't know why, Shang Zuoyan didn't smile, and even her expression seemed a little tired. Although everything was fine before the performance, she always felt as if all her strength had been drained away after the performance. When the photo came out, Gu Huiyan was watching it. After reading it, he frowned and glanced at Shang Zuoyan, hesitated to speak, and finally said nothing. Mainly because everyone was quite happy tonight, no one noticed this detail. On the one hand, if he picked it out, it would upset everyone, and on the other hand, it was also because he thought that Shang Zuoyan would not be willing to let everyone care about her. She was tired enough, and other people's concerns would only make her more tired when she was in such a state. Not only Gu Huiyan noticed this, but the audience also noticed many details. What's wrong with Shang Zuoyan? Why does it feel like she's suddenly unhappy? Didn't you have a good time dancing just now? I have been embarrassed to say it all day long. I feel like she has been forcing a smile. Yes, I also feel that she has never come out. The barrage is going on. In fact, Shang Zuoyan seems to be the same as before in everyone's eyes today. She has returned to her previous state and looks quite normal. But that's just the surface. Old fans can tell at a glance that she has changed a lot from before, and she always seems to give them a feeling of low energy. The former Shang Zuoyan was an energetic girl. Every scene related to her, including the impression of the audience, should have her silver bell-like smile. She loves to eat, but she can't eat it. Every time she is stopped by her manager, she will protest for a long time. At that time, she was always carefree. But this time when the audience saw her, for some reason, she felt like she was running out of power. For example, she used to have 100% power, but now it only has 30%. And even this small amount of power may not last as long as before. It seems that it will be easily consumed by doing anything. At night, after dancing Dangerous Party, even though she was still in front of the camera and still needed to take photos, she felt as if she could no longer recharge her batteries. This made many viewers feel very sorry for her. There is one thing that the audience is embarrassed to say, and that is that even if Gu Huiyan and Shang Zuoyan were fooling around all day today, it was not as interesting as before. What has changed? What's different? They are all really depressed. This matter even became a hot search topic, called #What happened to Shang Zuoyan? Hashtag. Of course, this is not the only hotly searched topic tonight. Dangerous Party must have also been on the trending list, but when it comes to topic discussion, this one is actually the most popular. In the past, Shang Zuoyan was always full of energy. I don't know what happened. Why is she so depressed now? A very detailed point is that in the supply store, facing so many delicious foods, she seemed to have no interest at all. It was clear that she wished she could show off all the words she said before. What makes people speechless is that someone actually used this to attack her in the comment area, saying that her previous foodie persona was false, which made a bunch of fans so angry that they were sprayed all over their bodies. Here at Hello Life Partner, after taking the group photo, it was getting late, so everyone dispersed and went back to their respective homes. They did prepare some businesses in the evening, but Gu Huiyan didn't participate. Just kidding. By winning the Dance Forest contest tonight, Gu Huiyan made a lot of money for his family. Okay. During the day, he also went to the supply store to rob so much like a bandit. There are so many things, and you still have to go out to work, that's too exploitative. I was really tired today. I was busy filming and recording songs in the past few days. I never rested. After the recording, Gu Huiyan planned to sleep directly. But when I close my eyes, I always think of Shang Zuoyan's tired expression when she took a group photo at night. This made Gu Huiyan a little worried. Also because I can't sleep. Gu Huiyan couldn't help but start to think about how the relationship between him and Shang Zuoyan should progress. In the room, Gu Huiyan folded his hands on the back of his head and crossed one leg, looking leisurely. Hoo-hoo. There was a sea breeze blowing in outside the window, fluttering the curtains. The wind was a little damp, making the quilts in the room a little damp. To be honest, Gu Huiyan knew what Shang Zuoyan was thinking, and he also knew that every time she had a temper, she did it because she liked him. But he couldn't accept this feeling because he already had Pei Jingshu. Not to mention that he can't get through it psychologically if he has two things to do. Shang Zuoyan can't accept being a shady person. Furthermore, if something goes wrong in the future and is exposed by the paparazzi or something, it will be a disaster and Gu Huiyan will lose his job. Although he has made enough money to retire where he is now, there are always some things that he can't let go of. Gu Huiyan now has many fans, and he feels that he would be sorry for them if he quit. Of course, if that day comes, it won't be a matter of fans or not. Pei Ban takes care of CP is such a hot topic, and if the house collapses, Gu Huiyan will be abused and attacked by the entire internet. Shang Zuoyan is not far behind either. She is already like this now. Gu Huiyan doesn't even dare to think about what will happen to her one day. So no matter what, considering all aspects, Gu Huiyan cannot be tempted by Shang Zuoyan. Since you can't do this, there is only another way. When it breaks, it breaks. But the problem is, Shang Zuoyan is like this now, wouldn't it be too cruel for Gu Huiyan to cut off contact with her again? The heart is really something you can't just say you can't stop. Shang Zuoyan always said that Gu Huiyan pitied her. She didn't need Gu Huiyan's pity. What she needed was a like from him, even if it was an understatement. But doesn't Gu Huiyan like her at all? How can it be? Regardless of whether she had pestered Gu Huiyan or not, a boy like her would not be unfavorable to her. What Gu Huiyan can never deny is that he has never pitied Shang Zuoyan, and has always only cared from the heart. After seeing her tired expression in tonight's group photo, Gu Huiyan really couldn't do anything to just cut off contact like this. So in fact, no matter how he thought about it, Gu Huiyan would be confused, and in the end he would not have any clue. This is also the reason why he doesn't want to think about it. Some people always say that he is decisive, but if you face such a thing, you will be more indecisive than Gu Huiyan. After all, it is Shang Zuoyan. Well. Thinking about it all gave him a headache. Gu Huiyan finally sighed silently. Just like countless times in the past, he planned to just deal with it like this, just take it one step at a time. He always does. People all have difficulty choosing. They all just want to pick something up, and no one wants to put it down. It's useless to think so much, it's better to go to bed early and recuperate. But just when Gu Huiyan was about to fall asleep. Ding dong. His cell phone suddenly rang. Gu Huiyan slapped his forehead and said to himself that he had forgotten to turn off his cell phone because he was too busy thinking about it. He usually works a lot and sends messages to many people, so he usually turns off his cell phone when sleeping. He originally thought that the message was also a work message, but when he picked up his phone to look at it, he found that the person who sent the message turned out to be Shang Zuoyan? She asked. Are you asleep? At this time, there must be something wrong with her sending a message. In fact, Gu Huiyan should not reply, but Gu Huiyan finally chose to reply. Not yet, what's wrong? After a while, Shang Zuoyan said. I'm at the beach west of your house, can you come over? After looking at it, Gu Huiyan's pupils shrank and asked. You alone? Yes, she replied. Walk. Gu Huiyan, who had had a headache all night, didn't expect that he would have to face such a scene so late. Looking at every night he spent alone with Shang Zuoyan, there was no ordinary night. He didn't know what kind of situation he was going to face tonight, but to be honest, if you asked him not to go, the thought of Shang Zuoyan being so late, already after midnight, sitting alone on the beach, he couldn't refuse. In the end, Gu Huiyan reluctantly put on his clothes and slipped out of the house. Pattering. The seaside at night is not as hot as during the day, the wind is a bit cool, and the waves are constantly beating. Shang Zuoyan's place was in the west, and Gu Huiyan and his family's care home was already at the far west of the program recording venue, so her place was already outside the recording venue. As he walked over, Gu Huiyan saw a figure in the distance. Because this is outside the recording venue, there are no lights. It is pitch black and nothing can be seen. At most, there is only a little light from the lights on the other side of the recording venue. If Shang Zuoyan hadn't called him to come, he would have thought that this figure was really a Piao. Why are you here alone so late at night? Shang Zuoyan was sitting on the beach, her shoes were thrown aside, and her two sexy little feet were stretched out just enough to reach them while sleeping. Whenever a wave came over, some water would touch her feet. When Gu Huiyan went there, he avoided the sea water because he felt that the sea water was no longer clean. After watching the news a few days ago, he no longer dared to go into the sea or eat seafood. Sea water, Hitui, scumbag. Waiting for you. Shang Zuoyan looked sideways, and she squeezed out a forced smile. The sea breeze blew her hair, but she couldn't even see the hairline. The amount of hair was enviable. Gu Huiyan turned on the flash, so he could see Shang Zuoyan's appearance clearly. At this moment, she had taken off the sexy clothes she wore during the evening performance and put on the casual shorts and short sleeves she wore yesterday. A pair of slender jade legs were slightly raised, because her buttocks were soaked by the sea water while sitting on the beach, but she didn't care at all. It seemed that Shang Zuoyan's pretty face was still full of delicacy before she had time to remove her makeup, but this delicacy did not cover up the fatigue between her brows and eyes. Gu Huiyan, you know, I am very tired of cooperating with you today. After Gu Huiyan sat down, Shang Zuoyan began to talk softly. Her eyes were a little hollow, and she told Gu Huiyan that she was not happy. These unhappiness are reflected in her always feeling lackluster, reflected in the fact that when she first arrived in the morning, she was fooling around with Gu Huiyan, and the rain soaked her clothes. She changed for more than half an hour, not to delay time, but to take a breath. It was also reflected in the way Gu Huiyan sat on the seesaw with her and played with her, and she didn't speak for nearly an hour after she returned. This is especially reflected in the fact that after dancing Dangerous Party, she no longer had any strength, and even smiling in the group photo was a luxury. As netizens said, as a former energetic girl, she always ran out of battery. She was really tired from cooperating with Gu Huiyan all day today. I guess you always drag me to make trouble with me just to make me relax, right? Just now, she wrapped her hands around her knees and buried her head in her arms. Now she raised her head and looked at Gu Huiyan. Yes. Everyone seems to have seen this intention, right? He saw that she was not as happy as she showed, so he pulled her to play with her, and she saw his good intentions, so she tried her best to cooperate with him. It's just that she really doesn't have that much energy to cooperate with him anymore, she is so tired. In every aspect. Gu Huiyan was silent for a moment. A few moments. I know what you want to tell me. It was probably because he just happened to be thinking about something tonight, so Gu Huiyan was not so embarrassed or indecisive when facing Shang Zuoyan. There's no one else here, no cameras, no one peeping, and they don't have microphones on their bodies. So Gu Huiyan can freely tell Shang Xuoyan things that only the two of them can listen to. I like you, Shang Xuoyan. Before Shang Xuoyan could react, or even her pupils had time to shrink, Gu Huiyan's like, which she had been waiting for so long and expected so much, was just received by Gu Huiyan, very casually, very an understatement. Speak up. Not only that. When she finally looked at Gu Huiyan blankly, Gu Huiyan didn't shy away from it at all. He just turned his gaze sideways and said, "Always love it? It's not pity, it's not distressing. I just like it. Like you said. It's not difficult for me to say I like you, and it's not that difficult for me to say I love you." At this moment, Gu Huiyan finally looked like a man, like a man. When he said these words, although they were very greasy and disgusting, not like what Gu Huiyan would say, but for some reason, when he said these words, Gu Huiyan felt very relaxed and relieved. It was like a big stone that had been accumulating on my chest for who knows how long and finally fell. That tone was finally soothing after a long absence. But equally, he didn't know whether he could bear this love or not. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Swan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 286. There was an awkward silence in the air. Pattering. Only the sound of the waves crashing reminded the android CP on the coast that their ears were not deaf. Originally, after hearing a frank like from Gu Huiyan's mouth, Shang Xuoyan thought that she would be very happy, cry with joy, throw herself on Gu Huiyan, kiss him, and laugh happily. Of course, she may not laugh, she may cry, because she has been waiting for this sentence for too long. But she never expected that her reaction would be surprised. Surprise. That's pretty much it. Anyway, she was far from being as happy as she imagined, far from it. Because she felt like she forced Gu Huiyan to say this. Although Gu Huiyan made it clear that he did not pity her or feel sorry for her, she still knew very well that these words may be what Gu Huiyan meant, but they were not what he wanted to say willingly. Tears slowly came out of her eyes, very disappointing. The tip of Shang Xuoyan's nose was sore, and she was about to cry again for some reason, and she obviously didn't like this. She didn't know why she and Gu Huiyan were like this. What does it look like? It was him who made her laugh. He had to have intention, deliberateness, and purpose. Even when she was teased by him, she deliberately cooperated with him, otherwise she would not be able to laugh no matter what. Anything else to say? She tried her best to suppress the urge to choke, and asked Gu Huiyan with a hint of crying in her voice. When she asked, her pretty, doll-like face was full of various complex expressions. There was joy, there was indeed it. She tried her best to squeeze out a few smiles that were not ugly, making the atmosphere less solemn and making it more likely that the topic of their chat would shift to a joking direction. But on her face, you could see more fear and fear. She was afraid that Gu Huiyan would say something that she couldn't bear no matter what. Indeed. Gu Huiyan can indeed speak. How could there be no further words? Gu Huiyan smiled bitterly and leaned back, holding his hands behind his back. He raised his head and looked at the sea in the distance. He picked up a few stones and threw them into the sea. He turned to look at Shang Xuoyan. There was no hesitation in his eyes, and he no longer evaded, he just said. Have you ever thought about our future? Have you ever thought about what will happen to you and what will happen to us? This is the question that Gu Huiyan has been thinking about all night tonight. Shang Xuoyan is always willful, always irrational, and always acts according to his own temper. As a result, she was able to do something like abducting Gu Huiyan backstage at the concert last year and taking him to a hotel room to force him to have an abortion. If you say that Gu Huiyan is indecisive, it would be better to say that he is too sober and rational. Precisely because he knew the consequences, not just feeling sorry for Pei Jingshu, Gu Huiyan always chose to avoid and evade the issue of Shang Zuoyan. It's not that he doesn't want to face it, it's that he simply can't face it. The kindness of two people has brought harm to more people. Is this how it should be? Last night, you said it yourself, you couldn't stand such a day. He must have opened up his heart. Gu Huiyan also said to Shang Zuoyan unceremoniously. How could you think that I would have the heart to let you endure such a life? She agreed that if Zhou Yan was in love, she should show off and show off openly and openly. Not to mention that she doesn't want to live that kind of life, she can't live it, and Gu Huiyan doesn't want her to live that kind of life either. Gu Huiyan wanted her to always be like the last night of recording Crystal Love Season in Yunnan, hold the trumpet openly without caring about anyone's eyes, shout out her love passionately, and live like what all girls yearn for. But look at what she looks like now. If Gu Huiyan agrees to her, what will happen to her? Gu Huiyan didn't dare to think about this at all. This was what he couldn't bear the most. Gu Huiyan's words, how could you think I would have the heart to let you live that kind of life, really hit Shang Zuoyan, breaking the tears she had been holding back for a long time. Those tears began to flow down uncontrollably. She didn't make a sound, just let the tears flow down her cheeks. She was sitting very close to the waves, and when the tide came over, it would occasionally hit her buttocks. Anyway, her buttocks were already wet, so she didn't care anymore. It's just that tears occasionally drip into the waves that happen to be sweeping over. How much Shang Zuoyan thought that those sorrows were like these tears, falling into the sea and being swept away by the waves. But this is unrealistic after all. She felt that she should be happy because she could hear Gu Huiyan admit his love, but she couldn't be happy anyway because she seemed to have expected what Gu Huiyan was going to say later. I used to like reading novels, the kind of scumbag type. Seeing her sad look, Gu Huiyan wanted to comfort her, but didn't know how to start. He just turned his head as far as possible and continued. The male protagonist is very capable. He has been reborn. His childhood sweethearts, Baiyueguang, treasure girls, and schoolgirls all circle around him, playing around with various supporting characters, pretending to slap him in the face, and so on. Very good. To be honest, it was very enjoyable to watch. In the end, he took in the two heroines, and also took in many Yingying Yanyan who created very vivid images. The key is that the harem was peaceful, and they both gave birth to children for him. The last two I really didn't expect that the two heroines actually reconciled. As he was talking, he suddenly laughed, and he didn't know why. When he smiled, Shang Zuoyan also wanted to laugh. Shang Zuoyan's head was still buried in her arms. She did not raise her head, fearing that Gu Huiyan would see her crying and embarrassment, but she still raised her beautiful hand in disgust and slapped Gu Huiyan's eyes several times. I originally thought it was Gu Huiyan making a joke, but who knew that after dodging Shang Zuoyan's slap, Gu Huiyan actually asked. Do you think I am the kind of male protagonist, or can you and Pei Jingshu do that? In one sentence, Shang Zuoyan was silenced. Even the jade hand that had not had time to completely retract it froze in mid-air. Yes. Among girls in this era, who can share their man with others? Modern women who have received 9 years of compulsory education cannot accept this anyway, unless you say you don't like this man, you just love his money or power. Anyway, Shang Zuoyan asked herself, she couldn't share Gu Huiyan with Pei Jingshu no matter what. She used to think she could do it, but every time she saw them showing affection, it felt like her heart was cut by a knife. She was silent, still silent. But Gu Huiyan seemed to be unable to hold back his words. He spoke eloquently. In that novel, one of the two heroines has a very weak and submissive character. That's great for you too. One is more tempered than the other. At this point, Gu Huiyan smiled bitterly as if he was mocking himself. To be honest, He had really thought about the red flag at home and the colorful flags fluttering outside for a while. After all, we are a systematic man, so why can't we compare to the protagonist of a novel? Isn't it just a harem? Just open it? But the problem is, the picture is happy for a while, it opens, and then what? Then when these two fierce heroines really get together, they will tear him apart. Sometimes Gu Huiyan really thinks that if either Shang Zuoyan or Pei Jingshu had a more submissive personality, he might have opened the harem long ago. Pei Jingshu seemed calm and submissive to Gu Huiyan, but Gu Huiyan believed that whenever he touched her bottom line, she would immediately cut him off no matter how reluctant he was to let go. There was no sand in her eyes. And Shang Zuoyan is such a proud girl. The two of them are not incompatible with water and fire, so how can water and fire come together to make a pot of boiling water for drinking? They are incompatible with fire, and each has its own thing. When the time comes, you won't care if it's a red flag or a colorful flag. You can burn it all, including Gu Huiyan, and not even a scrap will be left. Let me tell you something. Seeing that Shang Zuoyan was still silent, Gu Huiyan couldn't help but continue. Do you remember what I told you yesterday, not to play games in front of the camera? Shang Zuoyan silently raised her head and rubbed her face, which had been stained by crying, with her hands. She knew she looked very embarrassed, but she really didn't want to cry anymore. She nodded slightly and said in a hoarse voice, I know, I know. Hearing this, Gu Huiyan also nodded and continued. To be honest, I lied to Pei Jingshu. That day she saw my game records and asked me. I subconsciously said that someone else played my account, not me. I didn't do anything wrong, and I never have, but I always lied to her, just about the Strawberry Prince. I shouldn't have lied to her about the game, no matter what I thought about it later. But I really can't tell her. I'm afraid that if I tell her even a little bit, it will affect our relationship and make her think too much. When Gu Huiyan saw her cooking noodles in his apartment that day, he wanted to give her his whole world. She should deserve the best. Gu Huiyan wanted to be her parasol, shielding her from the harsh sun and wind and rain, so he didn't want to tell Pei Jingshu anything that could affect them. He wanted to digest it all silently by himself, and wanted to handle everything by himself. Pei Jingshu cannot and should not worry about such things. When listening to these words, Shang Zuoyan felt very sad, but more of it was jealousy. Why did Pei Jingshu deserve his love so much, but she could only listen to him say these words with her butt wet. But then, Gu Huiyan's words made her a little happy. Gu Huiyan said, Of course, I don't deny it, it's because I feel guilty. Because I like you, I care about you, no matter how I say my intentions for you are not that pure, you know, I know, she doesn't know it before she tastes it, she will see it. Having said this, he paused, picked up a stone, threw it into the turbulent and unclean sea water, as if he hated iron, and then said, I really admire those scumbag male protagonists. They can be intimate with this girl and immediately hug another girl without any psychological burden. This is something I can't do. I think, if the relationship between the two of us goes further, how will I feel when facing Pei Jingshu? Guilt. Probably so. In any case, it's impossible to be as pure as before. I am a person who can talk nonsense and run on the train without blinking an eye, without blushing and without a beating heart. But if I do something wrong, I will never have the face to face others. Those things will be written on my face and will be easily betrayed by others. Discover. He is just a normal person with normal views. He just wants to be a normal, good man. But it felt like everything around him was forcing him to. He could push Zhang Yao away without a care, just like that night, if there was no call from Zhang Yao's son, even if Zhang Yao threatened him, he would still push Zhang Yao away. But he really couldn't push Shang Zuoyan away again and again. It's not just that every time he pushes Shang Zuoyan away, she seems to wither like a flower, but more because it's really hard for him to push Shang Zuoyan away. She is so enthusiastic and likes him so much, let alone Gu Huiyan, he is a man, no. No one can push her away cruelly. Wu. Probably touched by Gu Huiyan's words, Shang Zuoyan let out a whimpering sound. She bit her lip gently and tried her best to stop the tears from flowing. But in the end, she couldn't hold back a single tear. It was like no matter how hard she tried to keep Gu Huiyan, she seemed unable to keep him. She never thought that on the day when he took the initiative to say that he liked her for the first time, he would make her so sad. In fact, what Gu Huiyan said was very considerate of her face. Gu Huiyan didn't tell her the most cruel and serious consequences. If that's true, if the two of them continue like this, if they are exposed in the future, their careers will be stagnant, their houses will collapse, and they will be abused by the entire internet. Wait for these. Can they really bear it? It's not as simple as she thought. Shang Zuoyan could have said it without any shame. I like you. As long as you are by my side, I am not afraid of anything. It doesn't matter what happens to me. That is the romance that belongs exclusively to Shuangguan novels and TV series. Instead of real romance. It's not something that should be included in an entertainment novel. They are stars. It's an artist. He's a public figure. It's okay if the sea is calm, but once a little bit of information is exposed, it will be like the sea water in front of Gu Huiyan. You will immediately feel that it is unclean, and you will not dare to eat any seafood. In the past few years in domestic entertainment, have there been few artists whose houses have collapsed? What happened to them? What are the consequences? It's not just as simple as a house being destroyed, everything in their past will be dug out and their flesh will be exposed, and even rumors will be spread to smear them. Gu Huiyan didn't care whether he was scolded or not, but he never dared to imagine that a female idol like Shang Zuoyan, who was cheered by thousands of people on stage, was spurned by so many people and even called her. The scene of calling her mistress. He really didn't dare think about those things. Just the online reports like last year tortured her into what she is now, and the consequences of them continuing like this, the online reports about the collapse of the house, are 10 times more exaggerated than last year, believe it or not. If you look at those entertainment novels, you will see some people saying, how can any entertainment harem be opened? Gu Huiyan also wanted to decide early on whether it was pure love or a harem, but it was never that easy to decide. So, what exactly do you mean? Shang Zuoyan wanted to lower her head, but she always stubbornly raised her proud neck. The moonlight refracted through the gaps in the clouds, and it just hit her pretty face covered with tears. She turned to look at Gu Huiyan and asked, "Are you going to push me away? Do you want to say that from now on, you will be separated from me, we will never meet again, and you will no longer care about my life or death? Do you want me to have nothing to do with you?" Gu Huiyan's "I like you," Shang Zuoyan was like a confession, but Shang Zuoyan never expected that within half an hour of being confessed by his favorite man, he would break up with him. She couldn't imagine what else Gu Huiyan could mean besides this result. Crash. Under the moonlight, the waves kept lapping at the shore, and a stone in the distance always made a sound from being washed by the waves. It was not annoying, but it slightly eased the awkward atmosphere. Gu Huiyan didn't speak for a long time. In fact, he is also a relatively emotional person. He had been in a long-distance relationship with Pei Jingshu for several months. When Pei Jingshu secretly surprised him, he was once moved to tears. He thought he might shed tears when he opened his heart to Shang Zuoyan, but it seemed that he didn't. He is surprisingly sane. For a long time, Shang Zuoyan just kept staring at Gu Huiyan with those big watery eyes. The tears no longer flowed, as if they had all flowed away, and they were all washed away with the unclean sea. Just when Shang Zuoyan's patience was finally exhausted by Gu Huiyan suddenly raised his head and turned to look at Shang Zuoyan. The two people's eyes met in mid-air, and they seemed to be able to actually see under the dark moonlight. Generally, looking at that face, Gu Huiyan felt a little distressed, and he just said, "I'll listen to you." Ah! Shang Zuoyan was stunned when she said this. Her pretty face like a Barbie doll looked confused. To be honest, based on her impression of Gu Huiyan, she thought Gu Huiyan would say I don't know. After all, this was his usual style, always evading and evading again and again. Today, she suddenly couldn't escape. She really didn't expect it. But equally, his answer was even more unexpected to her. "What do you mean?" Her head was a little confused and her expression was a little dull. She didn't know whether to be happy or worried, let alone what Gu Huiyan's words meant. "The choice is given to you." Gu Huiyan didn't hesitate anymore. He picked up a stone and threw it into the sea again, as if to vent his anger. He said, "I've thought about it for a long time. As far as I'm concerned, I can't give you any answer. I want to give you what you want, but I'm also worried about the consequences. I'm not a human being inside and out because of the back and forth. It's better to leave the choice to you. Anyway, I've made everything clear to you." Having said this, he looked at Shang Zuoyan again and gave her a rare smile. What was even rarer was that this smile was not as silly as before. He said, "If you think about it, no matter what happens, we can walk together for a while, at least for a while. And if you haven't thought about it, you can also do it." "Ha, forget it, we probably can't be friends. Then it's really a matter of one off and two off." Having said this, he smiled mockingly to himself again. He looked relaxed, but his smile was really heavy. Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Xuan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 287. Chapter 283 Nightmares and Dreams, Heaven and Hell, I don't have the right to choose. To be honest, Gu Huiyan also knew that it was not very responsible for him to do this. How could he leave it to Shang Zuoyan to choose something so difficult that he had been struggling with for so long? But there was nothing he could do. He couldn't bear to see her continue like this. During the Chinese New Year, she left like that, even leaving behind the pig's trotters, sausages, lotus roots, etc. that Gu Huiyan had brought her for the New Year's dinner the night before. That really made Gu Huiyan feel distressed. No one knows how long Gu Huiyan was worried about her that time. He didn't want to be like this anymore, it was really boring. Many people on the internet said that her current battery level was 30%, so Gu Huiyan also wanted to recharge her battery so that she could return to the energetic girl she was before. He could always choose to sacrifice Shang Zuoyan for the good of everyone, but he had never chosen this way. No matter what, she shouldn't let Gu Huiyan treat her cruelly. Gu Huiyan knew that if he said these words today, they would all fall into a desperate situation in the future. But there are always things you have to do. Are you karaokeing me? Moral kidnapping. Surprisingly, Shang Zuoyan was very rational at the moment. She could tell that there was a hidden meaning in Gu Huiyan's words. No matter what they did, they would probably pay a heavy price in the future, which would not be good for anyone. Paper cannot contain the fire, and problems will arise sooner or later if the two of them continue like this. Since you know there will be those problems, you should not do this as soon as possible, explain all the pros and cons to her, and kidnap her morally to stop her from continuing like this. Haha, you are thinking too much. Gu Huiyan smiled and said, I just told you the consequences in a matter-of-fact way. Consequences? Are there only consequences? Are there no good aspects? Even now, Shang Zuoyan still stubbornly thinks about the good side. People don't always like to think about the bad side. She wanted to embrace Gu Huiyan's arms, want to kiss him, want to go on a date with him, go shopping with him, and do all the things that a couple should do with him. She thought she would be very happy, and so would Gu Huiyan, and they would have many beautiful photos and beautiful moments together. That's what she was thinking. How come there isn't? Gu Huiyan lowered his head and smiled, but then he said. But how can people always think in the right direction when doing things? Ever since he was a child, Gu Huiyan's habit has been to prepare for the worst before doing something, otherwise he shouldn't do it. He is always so clear-headed and rational, which is why he is so entangled and indecisive. Sometimes I really envy those brainless people who can directly open a harem without looking forward or backward, but Gu Huiyan always can't do it. This is not a personality created by the company, but his own personality. Shang Zuoyan lowered her proud head again and remained silent. How do you choose? After handing over the choice to Shang Zuoyan, Gu Huiyan, the irresponsible bastard, felt relieved and asked. Me. To be honest, Shang Zuoyan's expression is very strange now. You don't know whether she is crying or laughing. You can see her eyebrows are frowning tightly, but the expression on her face seems to be smiling. Tears flowed out of his eyes and flowed down his cheeks. Just like her mood, she couldn't laugh or cry. When this word is used by others, it may make you laugh more. But when used here by Shang Zuoyan, she probably cried more. Shang Zuoyan always scolded Gu Huiyan for not being brave, complaining that he was not decisive and not like a man. She thought that if faced with the same problem, she would nod without hesitation and tell Gu Huiyan, I like you and I don't care about anything. Want to be with you. But when she really faced such a problem, and when Gu Huiyan explained the cause and effect, she found that she actually not as brave as I thought. They are all adults, and they all know the consequences of their choices. She, Shang Zuoyan, went abroad to be a trainee when she was a teenager. On the singing stage, I didn't even have time to eat. I ate a bite of bread when I got in the car and it was still in my mouth when I got off the bus. I was so tired that I didn't even have time to chew it and swallow it when I fell asleep. No one cherishes her achievements today more than she does. Men are important, love is important, but why are career and money, especially fame and fortune, unimportant? Yes, she can say that Gu Huiyan is more important to her than anything else, but is it possible that if something happens in the future, it will be her, Shang Zuoyan, who loses everything? Gu Huiyan will be scolded even worse. His consequences will be more serious. One thing Shang Zuoyan knew very well was that Gu Huiyan's words were an understatement. His pressure would be heavier than her own, several times heavier. She finally understood the reason why he had been evading and evading all this time, and would not give her a direct answer no matter what. And he did it today. Leave it to her. It has also reached its end. He said that as long as she was willing, no matter what the consequences, he would accompany her for a while. This sentence moved Shang Zuoyan so much that she burst into tears. So even if she hadn't made any decision yet, she did not hesitate to approach Gu Huiyan, raise her two jade hands to hook his neck, and hug him. Woo! At first it was just a small whimper. Later, ah! She started crying loudly. She had always wanted to cry loudly, but it seemed she never had the right environment. Today's environment was surprisingly suitable. Everyone was asleep at this time, and their location was in a relatively deserted area outside the recording venue. The wind just happened to come up, and the sound of the waves and the wind were superimposed, which was enough to make her cry loudly. To cover up some. If it were the past, maybe Gu Huiyan would push her away. Even this time, Gu Huiyan's hand had already been raised, planning to push her away. But in the end, his hands were just frozen in mid-air, not on her shoulders, let alone pushing her away. That hand was stiff for a long time. Finally, it slowly softened, and he placed it on Shang Zuoyan's back and patted it gently. Like comfort. It's also like soothing. No matter what, Gu Huiyan couldn't push her away this time. Gu Huiyan didn't know how long she had been crying. Anyway, the clothes on his shoulders were already wet. There were not only tears but also snot on them. Well, that's pretty disgusting. When people have particularly high emotional ups and downs, there are always some things they can't help but lose control of. Have you made your decision? Gu Huiyan asked her this when she finally wiped away her tears and makeup, gathered her emotions and got up from Gu Huiyan. Because she had been crying, Shang Zuoyan's clothes and hair were a little messy at this time. A few strands of hair were stuck to her smooth forehead. Her clothes were disheveled. Her left shoulder was exposed for a time, and her shoulder strap was also exposed in the air. You asked me, how to choose. There was still a cry in her voice, and even because she had been crying for a long time, her voice was a little choked, as if she couldn't breathe. Even though she hugged her and even cried loudly, she still hadn't figured out how to make this decision. You can choose whatever you want. Gu Huiyan said funnily. Don't you always do what you want? Are you mocking me? Shang Zuoyan pouted, thinking that Gu Huiyan said this to mock her for not paying attention to the consequences of doing things. Indeed, she had never thought about these things that Gu Huiyan thought about. Of course, it didn't mean that she hadn't thought about it at all, but she hadn't thought about it carefully. She only wants to be happy, and she will get what she wants no matter what, and we will talk about the rest later. Gu Huiyan spread his hands in a non-committal manner, and Shang Zuoyan was so angry that she had the urge to bite him. After crying, she seemed to have relaxed a little, and Shang Zuoyan was not as depressed as before. And Gu Huiyan didn't force her, he said. You don't have to be so anxious to answer. I won't force you. You can think slowly. I'll be waiting for your answer at any time. His words made Shang Zuoyan feel a little ashamed of herself, because all along, she seemed to be forcing Gu Huiyan, but when the same thing happened, Gu Huiyan did not force her. Compared with Gu Huiyan, she does seem a little. It's immature. It's very late, let's go back. After saying that, she cried. Gu Huiyan's clothes were dirty and uncomfortable, and he wanted to go back and change clothes quickly. Shang Zuoyan didn't say anything, she just stood up silently, patted her wet butt gently, and then walked back with a worried look. Because it was very late, Gu Huiyan didn't trust her to go back alone, so he walked all the way to her door. When they separated, she looked at Gu Huiyan, who looked relaxed and couldn't help but say, "You are really an irresponsible bastard." There was still a cry in her voice at this moment, and her eyes were red and she looked resentful. Then don't like me. Gu Huiyan waved his hands indifferently. He was very smart and turned himself from a person with difficulty in choosing into a chosen commodity. Just like that line says. Heaven and hell, I don't have the right to choose, only the fate I have chosen. It is not difficult to expect to be chosen by others. What is difficult is the person who makes the choice. No matter what choice you make, you must be prepared to pay the price. The guests at the accompanying house had already gone to bed long ago, and even the staff on duty were dozing off. There was no light in the room, and Shang Zuoyan had to use her mobile phone to flash the light when entering. In the dark night, the only thing that was bright was Shang Zuoyan's big bright eyes. Even though tonight was not as happy as she imagined, nor as sad as she imagined, and even presented a very difficult choice, after Shang Zuoyan said "then don't like me" from Gu Huiyan, still subconsciously frowning and said, "I do not want." Gu Huiyan said nothing more, just grinned, turned around and waved. Using the flash of his cell phone, he walked step by step towards his home. Shang Zuoyan was not in a hurry to go in, she just stood at the high door and watched from a distance as Gu Huiyan's figure disappeared little by little at the end. She didn't cry anymore. In fact, she felt that she should laugh, because Gu Huiyan could be hers as long as she wanted. But she couldn't laugh because she wasn't as decisive as she thought. Facts have proved that no matter who is faced with Gu Huiyan's situation, it is not that easy to make a choice. That night, Shang Xuan couldn't sleep. It's not just because my butt is wet and it still feels uncomfortable even after taking a shower and changing pants, it's also because of Gu Huiyan's words tonight. She thought a lot and for a long time. She finally fell asleep in the middle of the night and had a nightmare. In the dream, she dreamed that she was spurned by countless people, who scolded her for being ignorant, scolded her for destroying other people's feelings, scolded her for this and that. She really couldn't do it with cold eyebrows and pointed fingers at thousands of people. She was extremely sad when she woke up listening to and watching those people saying bad words to each other. She didn't even know how she fell asleep again. All she knew was that she had another sweet dream later. In the dream, she seemed to be taking photos at the beach with Gu Huiyan. It seemed like they were just outside the show recording venue, accompanying the beach with rocks and trees next to their home. She had thick black hair hanging loose, wearing a pair of light blue high-waisted jeans, pure white shoes and a short-sleeved top. She was smiling happily. Gu Huiyan, on the other hand, was wearing a pair of black trousers, a bluish-white shirt, and black leather shoes. He looked like a businessman, somewhat of a gentle scum, and was inexplicably handsome. She held his waist and he held her shoulders. She would raise her head to look at him, and he would look down at himself. Occasionally, he would pick her up and spin her around her buttocks and thighs. She smiled very happily at that time. There was also a scene where she took a photo of Gu Huiyan squatting on the ground with the camera teacher's SLR. Of course, the sweetest thing was the scene where she, Gu Huiyan, was holding flowers for her, while Gu Huiyan was kneeling on one knee and giving her an engagement ring. In that scene, the staff around her were making noises, the camera teacher was taking pictures frantically, and she raised her head and smiled like a fool. She never cried again, never felt sad anymore, and everything that came out of her heart was happiness and joy. Sweet. The kind of sweetness that she desires very much now. That day, her lipstick was very red, bright, and orange, which seemed like she was in a really happy mood. That's what Shang Xuan looks like. Then. Wake up. Shang Xuan woke up with a smile. But I don't know what happened, but there seemed to be tears in the corners of my eyes. It was obviously a very happy dream, but there were tears in the corners of her eyes for no reason, and the pillow was wet. Why? She does not know. All she knew was that she was tired when she woke up, as if she had collapsed, and was more tired than ever before. It's not just that I went to bed late and had a few dreams and didn't sleep well, it's more because of the content of the dream. So much so that you could see obvious dark circles under her eyes, like pandas. When the makeup artist put makeup on her in the morning, she was stunned and couldn't help but ask her what she did last night. The assistant also came over to show concern. In the morning, even Su Xiun and the others came over to ask her what was going on. It was probably because they had read the hot searches at night. They didn't notice Shang Xuan's condition last night, but they all noticed that something was not right about her this morning. It's okay, I just didn't sleep well. In the face of everyone's concern, Shang Xuan always seemed to put on a mask, forcing out a familiar smile and saying that it was too humid near the sea here, and sleeping under the quilt was like sleeping in water. She just didn't sleep well. But judging from her mental state, it was obvious that it was not as simple as not sleeping well. Everyone could see this. Later, even Zhang Ma and teacher he heard the news and came over to see what was going on with her. At first, Shang Xuan would pretend, but then too many people came to care about her, making her feel so pitiful. She really couldn't pretend anymore, she couldn't laugh anymore, and she couldn't hold herself tight. She didn't cry, as if her tears had dried up last night, but she was very sad. Although her makeup is still exquisite today, the clothes she wears today are still very beautiful. She likes the orange floral skirt very much, with suspenders. The hem is very high and short, very hot. Why are you so fat? When the broadcast started, Even the audience felt sorry for her, with various comments on the screen. "No, why are you like this when you wake up? Weren't you fine last night? Last night was fine? Are you sure? Ah, let's just say she was holding on yesterday. She really faced too much malice. To be honest, if it were a female star who was as emo as Shang Zhuoyan, no one would be so distressed. Who told her to be Shang Zhuoyan? She used to be like a little sun, confident, cheerful, sunny and lively. She was enthusiastic and brave, always dared to wear clothes, dared to talk and was arrogant. Really no one wants to see her looking depressed. Some people used to regard her as their faith. What should those people do if she is like this? Even a heartless girl like Shang Zhuoyan is like this. What should they do when their lives are so stressful? The voices of distress kept coming and going. Shang Zhuoyan didn't want this either. Before she came, her manager Han Li had specifically told her to cheer up in front of the camera no matter what, but today she really. No matter what, I can't have any strength at all. Her mind was in a mess, and she kept thinking about what Gu Huiyan said last night. She was very sure that she would make that decision, and she would do it more decisively than Gu Huiyan, but the process. It just wasn't as smooth as she thought. In comparison, Gu Huiyan, the old man, slept quite peacefully. In any case, he had thrown away the decision-making power. Shang Zhuoyan could choose whatever he wanted. It was useless to think about it so much. It's like a stock. Anyway, if you buy it today, no matter whether it goes up or down, you can't sell it today even if you look at it on T@1. It's better to look at it tomorrow. The more impatient a person is, the easier it is for him to have problems, and in the end he will be exhausted both physically and mentally. To be honest, it's quite irresponsible and inhuman. But he always does something touching. When he learned that Zhuoyan's battery was less than 30% this morning, Gu Huiyan found the program team. Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Bulletin Shi Swan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 288. It seems that because of Shang Zhuoyan's poor condition today, the program team specially prepared a game session, the so-called throw all your worries into the sea. Talk about it? Just set up a gate at the beach, and then the guests will go and reveal their recent worries, just like the Truman Show. Once you enter, you will be in another world, and once your worries are revealed, they will disappear. Don't get me wrong, this link was not suggested by Gu Huiyan. Gu Huiyan has never been a person who likes to tell the truth in front of the camera. He thinks that is a bit embarrassing and not interesting. Chun Chun is something like this that the program team designed before when designing the game segment. Variety shows, also called reality shows, show the private life of a celebrity. Confessing your feelings in front of the camera can help the audience and fans understand you better. Originally, the program team planned to put this link later and bring it out slowly. Isn't this because Shang Zhuoyan is in poor condition today? The program team thought, put it up front so that Shang Zhuoyan could tell her whatever was bothering her so that everyone could listen and help her relax. If it's those things that happened last year, you can actually tell them. Just tell them to the audience and fans, and you can also make a wave of misfortune and gain sympathy. Variety shows have also learned the routines used by many celebrity artists. This kind of sensational segment, although it is quite embarrassing, some people always like to watch it, especially those who are true fans. Many people always don't understand why many celebrities and artists like to do some greasy things. It's not that they want to do it, but that fans want to see it. Just like moments, if you think the moments people post are just emo, how do you know if they are fishing? Although the session is moved forward, there is no harm in it. It just allows everyone who has become very familiar with each other after recording 2 episodes of the program to deepen their connection and bond with each other. Pretty good. Only, when receiving this notice, Shang Zhuoyan was a little confused. Especially when I learned that the program team and everyone had prepared such a stage for me, allowing me to moan for no reason. To be honest, she really couldn't be happy. She knew that maybe both the program team and everyone had good intentions and wanted to help her, but in fact she really didn't need anyone's help. People who have been in a trough period should know that when you are most sad, what you want is not for others to be by your side, but to grit your teeth and walk out without letting anyone know that you have been there for such a period of time. Maybe in the future, you will use this time to go out and laugh, laughing at how you were so ungrateful and useless. But at that time, you wouldn't want anyone to see you embarrassed and making a fool of yourself. Especially a very proud girl like Shang Zhuoyan. She doesn't want others to watch, she just wants to stay alone quietly. She will come out, always will. Her pride prevented her from telling others about any of her troubles, let alone her troubles, which she couldn't tell others about anyway. Is it possible that you want her to tell the audience and let them decide for her whether to go secretly with Gu Huiyan? How can it be? Do not make jokes. So what did you ask her to say? The truth? Talk. Feel sorry. It seemed like she really couldn't tell. Even if I say it, it is nothing more than telling it to the audience and my fans in front of the camera. What's the point? Therefore, when receiving this notice, although Shang Zhuoyan seemed to be quite ordinary on the surface, in fact, not only was she unhappy, she was even sadder. During the Truth Talk session in the afternoon, she spent nearly a whole day thinking about it, unable to think of what she was going to do to offend the audience. I have a headache. It's really a headache. While she had a headache, she would also think, what do you think Gu Huiyan would say? Speaking of Gu Huiyan, this old man was quite at ease today. He slept until about 10 o'clock in the morning, got up, cooked some noodles and then went out for a walk. We didn't come back until almost 12 o'clock at noon. When they came back, Zhang Yao and the others hadn't eaten yet. None of them knew how to cook. After tinkering with it for a long time, they didn't figure it out. Why did they start frying tomatoes for a long time when they made scrambled eggs with tomatoes? No eggs yet. Gu Huiyan gave Gu Huiyan a headache when he saw it. Gu Huiyan calmed down and said, "It's not easy to make this dish delicious. After all, there are 4 female stars, but none of them can cook." Sometimes Gu Huiyan can't help but wonder, you said Xiang Zi is young, and Shen Yuqi and Han Zionji are both female idols, so it's normal that she can't cook. Sister Zhang Yao, you have children and you seem to be a very experienced young woman. Why can't you even make scrambled eggs with tomatoes? Just boil water. After giving them a military training, Gu Huiyan didn't show any pretense and got started. I got some spare ribs, beans, potatoes, vermicelli and other things that I bought for free at the supply store yesterday, and stewed them in a big pot. Not to mention how fragrant that mouthful is. Wow! When the pot was served, some viewers were greedy. Xiang Zi asked Gu Huiyan, "Brother Gu, what is this dish called?" Gu Huiyan said something at that time that asked the program team to urgently silence the show. Stupid and stewed blindly. Don't get me wrong, the second and third words must have been silenced, there's no way it can be broadcast. Puff. Ahaha. The audience laughed loudly at that time, saying that Gu Huiyan knows how to stew. Ding, the host has successfully grounded himself and gained exposure, and the points are at 91x20. You can say that Gu Huiyan is irresponsible and heartless, but you can't say that he has no conscience. When the stew was cooked, Gu Huiyan hadn't even eaten yet, so he specially poured a bowl for Shang Zhuoyan. To be honest, he is the only one who can give such simple things. When it was delivered, Su Xiun and her family were also having dinner. Brother Chen Feng, who was wearing an apron at the time, had black lines on his forehead and replied, "Do you think Shang Zhuoyan has no food to eat at our house? What's wrong with her when we are hungry? You even have to deliver a meal." Did it show up to you? Or is it just what you cook that tastes delicious? It is worth mentioning that Shang Zuoyan had no appetite since the morning and didn't eat much at noon. However, when Gu Huiyan brought this bowl of random stew, she ate a lot. This made Su Xiun unable to help but complain when there was no camera. I'm telling you, Shang Zuoyan, you will die from him sooner or later. It is said that Pei Jingshu is a love brain, but Shang Zuoyan is even more love-minded than her. Okay. I don't know if it was because of Gu Huiyan's bowl of stew that Shang Zuoyan went out to play with Su Xiun and the others in the afternoon. Gu Huiyan went to play chess with the uncle in the village in the afternoon. When Shang Zuoyan and the others came back, they happened to catch up with the ants in the village doing square dancing. Now he was dragging them to do square dancing. Are you really going to be disliked to death by Su Xiun and the others? Ahaha. The audience loved watching it and contributed a lot of system points to Gu Huiyan. Ding, the host has successfully grounded himself and gained exposure, and the points are at 91x20. One day. It just passed quietly. Everything seemed so ordinary, just like daily life. Gu Huiyan really made this show become his daily life. But the confidence session in the evening came when it was due. It was probably because it rained yesterday. Today's weather is inexplicably good. The sky is clear and the clouds and sky are layered. Those who know are in Hainan, but those who don't know are still thinking about Yunnan. A dozen guests from Whale Village, a luxurious lineup, gathered at the nearby seaside in the evening. When they arrived, the program team had already placed a sky blue gate there. To be honest, the program team is very detailed. The color really looks like the door in the Truman Show. Even the door frame is painted with the color of the sky. The sky is very blue today. Looking at it from a distance, it seems like it's like blending into the sky. Shifting the lens, you will find that the back of the door is pure black, while the platform facing the sea is pure white, two extremes. Apart from a microphone and stand, there is nothing else on it. There is nothing left. A very simple platform. Hey! Brother! Zheng Yunbin and Zhang Mi greeted them, but Gu Huiyan always couldn't play with them. The two brothers only pestered Chen Feng for fun, but when they came to find Gu Huiyan, the old man basically ran away to the village. He is still relatively good at mingling with the villagers. For example, in the afternoon, this old man saw a chicken on the village street on his way back. He grabbed the chicken wings and carried it to the house of a villager he just met, shouting, "Set fire and set fire." The audience laughed miserably at that time. Hello. Although it was a talking session, the atmosphere was not very solemn. After playing for a whole day, everyone chatted about interesting topics, and sometimes there was laughter among the girls. Maybe in their eyes, this so-called confidence session is nothing more than a variety show effect. They didn't take it seriously, just chatting. Of course, Shang Zuoyan did not participate, she was just watching. Obviously, she should be the center of laughter and laughter. Come on friends. When Teacher He and Mother Zhang arrived, this session began. As the senior, Teacher He took the lead in going up to check it out. What is very surprising is that Teacher He, who is always laughing and joking and has a high emotional intelligence, actually said something quite sad this time. The little girls had been chattering about a lot of topics. Teacher He said this, tell them directly to be silent. It's not like you have no eyesight. People shed tears when they say sad things to you, but you laugh out loud here? Do not make jokes. When Teacher He came out of that door, he felt that the atmosphere suddenly became stagnant. Some of the more emotional girls, such as Yang Zi, were almost in tears. The beginning of Teacher He is quite interesting. He is actually the main figure who laid the foundation for this link. Only if he is serious, others will be serious. Otherwise, everyone would be laughing and joking, and this session would be meaningless. The second one is Chen Feng, probably because of teacher He's comment just now. He understood what the program team meant, so he also said a sad thing. The atmosphere of the scene was immediately heightened. That the two seniors have done proofing, and the atmosphere has been exaggerated to this point. The following words about happy things or coping, etc., seem a bit disrespectful to the program team and the audience. Then everyone started to say some sad things. For example, Su Xiun talked about a dance conflict with her teammates during the concert, while Shen Yuki talked about a past with her dance teacher. Han Zionji is more ruthless. This sister actually said that once she drank with her father and knocked him down. Then his father ignored her for half a year. She was very sad. Ah ha ha ha. It made everyone laugh all of a sudden. But no one doubts that she is doing it for show effect, because this girl looks stupid, but she is actually very stupid. Even Shen Qingqing actually said a sad thing that she had no intention of hurting others. She always speaks and does things without thinking, and is always stupid. Many times she hurts others, and she doesn't know it, so she is quite sorry. What Xiang Zi was talking about was more childish. It seemed like it was about academics or something. She was still in college, one of the top performing schools in the country. It was difficult to take care of her studies while working a lot. As for Sister Zhang Yao, the young woman Yao was relatively free and easygoing. She went up to talk, but she was scolding her ex-husband inside and outside her words, which made the audience burst into laughter. Zhang Mi may not be familiar with these domestic routines, so he told a very sad past incident, which was quite unreasonable. In comparison, Zhen Yunbin is quite free and easy. He even said that he has nothing to worry about and has nothing to talk about. He is so cool. Speaking of the back, only Gu Huiyan, Shang Zuoyan and Zhang Ma were left. This session has been going all the way, with everyone crying and laughing. The atmosphere has been heightened to this point, and everyone is telling the truth. It seems that they are being held back. If you don't say something interesting and everyone feels like you're speaking sincerely, everyone will really think you're dishonest. Zhang Ma is okay, Gu Huiyan is fine, and Shang Zuoyan. She was sitting on the rocks, always dragging her cheeks with her beautiful hands, frowning deeply, looking very puzzled. When it was her turn, to be honest, she didn't want to go up. Yes, maybe everyone was talking about their troubles, making the whole atmosphere sad, and she couldn't deny that she was part of this atmosphere. But so what? That doesn't mean that she can tell everyone her troubles. Before leaving, she glanced at Gu Huiyan from a distance, and she didn't know if it was a coincidence that the bastard Gu Huiyan was also looking at her, and their eyes met in mid-air. Just for a moment. He immediately moved away as if he was about to be discovered. This time, Shang Zuoyan felt like she had been stabbed hard. To be honest, Shang Zuoyan has an urge to take this opportunity to tell everyone what happened between her and Gu Huiyan, and just let it go. Don't you want me to talk about your troubles? Then just listen to my troubles and see if you can bear it. But obviously, this was just a spur of the moment, and she wouldn't do that anyway. Because that would ruin everything in advance. Call. When entering the door, standing on the high platform, Shang Zuoyan took a deep breath. Looking ahead, she could see the blue sea. Perhaps, it is no longer clean, but that picture is really healing. It seems as if nothing has changed. The waves are constantly sweeping, lapping at the rocks under her feet, making a splashing sound. The setting sun in the evening gradually disappears near the coastline, dyeing the clouds red. The scene of burning clouds is beautiful, and dusk always makes people feel comfortable. Such an evening made Shang Zuoyan think of a sentence called, "Twilight is neither day nor night, but I try hard but can't see your face clearly." I feel quite comfortable with it. But it's clear she wouldn't say that on camera. I don't know why, but she fell silent. In the headset, I could occasionally hear her voice, as if she was about to cry, which made the guests couldn't help but look in the direction of the door, their eyes full of concern. The barrage was flooding at this time. Come on. Shang Zhuoyan, you are the best. It's up to you to say it or not. The voices on the internet are always funny. Sometimes you feel that there are two types of people on the internet. Last year, Shang Zhuoyan opened the comment area of messages and videos related to herself, and found that there were so many curses that you couldn't even see half of them. A nice sentence. But looking back now, you will find why so many people are caring about her. Has anyone among them ever scolded her harshly? Sorry everyone. Not sure if she was ready, Shang Zhuoyan took a few steps forward and came to the microphone. She looked up at her delicate and plump pretty face, held her head high and let the two brothers Xiong Daxian lift up her clothes. She says, "Can you give me a few dozen seconds to slow down?" After saying that, she withdrew without waiting for anyone to agree. Today she wore a beautiful floral skirt and some beautiful braids. Her excellent head shape and face shape were all displayed in front of the audience. The white lace-trimmed baby and a pair of black leather shoes fully accentuated the girlish look, and the slender legs were unreservedly exposed to the air. She should look the most confident like this. She has always been like a little sun that can illuminate everyone. But now, she can't even say a word. She needs to slow down and slow down when she speaks. Ah! Many fans have cried while watching the show, feeling that she has really gone through a lot. Come on. Over at the guest side, someone shouted to Shang Zhuoyan from a distance. It's actually quite annoying. It's not that you don't appreciate it, but at that time, you really should have asked people to calm down for a while, and you really shouldn't have yelled, making it look like you were watching from the side. Just because someone is watching, that's why I can't say it, okay? The silence was not long, it could only be a few dozen seconds at most, but because everyone was waiting, it seemed a bit long. She was probably embarrassed to keep everyone waiting for too long. After sorting out her emotions, Shang Zhuoyan came to the microphone. The first words she said made many people off guard. She says, "Actually, I think many people may scold me after I say this, but I want to say, I really don't want to be an artist anymore. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment." Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Swan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 289. Chapter 285. Listen to me, look at the group photo of everyone, you are the only one who is not smiling. Ah! Her words touched many people. The barrage was flowing wildly, and all kinds of distressed voices filled the entire screen. Maybe some people would scold Shang Zhuoyan afterwards, but at this time, her appearance, her state, and the look of her crying like a flower with raindrops, it's really heartbreaking, okay? The guests outside were also a little bit poked, probably because they are also artists. They understand the helplessness of being an artist and a public figure. No privacy. Everything has to be said in front of the public. If you do anything wrong, you will be scolded non-stop. You may even be whipped to death afterwards. They are cautious and walk on thin ice, but they still have to face all kinds of critical eyes. Not everyone is Gu Huiyan, who can face multiple large-scale online reports and always maintain a normal state of mind. At this moment, everyone probably thought that Shang Zhuoyan was talking about the incident last year when she was attacked on such a large scale by the entire internet. I think she said she didn't want to be an artist because she was afraid of being attacked, not having privacy, and being cautious. Among the crowd, only Gu Huiyan pursed his lips slightly, with different meanings flowing in his eyes. Perhaps only Gu Huiyan understood what she meant when she said, "I don't want to be an artist anymore." The real meaning of her words was not what they thought, not at all. Shang Xuoyan is a very strong girl. A female idol who came out of the very strict girl group standards of Bangsa country, whether it is business ability or psychological level, it is definitely not something she can do with just a little malice and scolding. Devastated. When had she, Shang Xuoyan, ever cared about other people's opinions? She went abroad as a trainee when she was a teenager and has been in the industry for so many years. Do you think she has not been attacked on a large scale? How can it be? The scale and pace of attacks last year may have been greater than before, but it really didn't make her Shang Xuoyan say, "I don't want to be an artist anymore." And the real reason why she said this today is because of their status as celebrity artists, they received too much attention. She had no choice but to be with Gu Huiyan so easily. To be honest, she was very distressed, especially after last night. She always thought that once Gu Huiyan said he liked her, she could be with Gu Huiyan without hesitation. No matter what happened or any consequences, she could and was willing to bear it. But when it came to that moment, when she really heard the seriousness of the matter from Gu Huiyan, she couldn't make the decision so easily and casually. They are celebrities and entertainers. Even if they are not on the show, there will usually be many paparazzi, photographers, and so on secretly following them in private. If they were together, if their shady relationship was discovered, she would not dare to think about the overwhelming scoldings that would greet them, as well as the consequences that would follow. And the reason why she said "I don't want to be an artist anymore" is because if they are not a star, if they are not an artist, they don't have so many fans, and not so many people pay attention to them, then does Shang Xuoyan not have to worry so much? Even if they hide and hide, they can still go a long way. At least if no one is exposed, no one will find them, right? Even if something happens in the future, there won't be so many people scolding them, attacking them, or condemning them. Maybe living in another city would be like it never happened. She has never hated her status as a star artist before, and has always been proud of it. As a female idol, she is glamorous, rich, beautiful, and popular. This is the life she has longed for since she was a child. In the past, she never thought that one day she would hate this identity so much. When recording Crystal Love Season, Shang Xuoyan knew that Sister Xylin liked to live an ordinary life. At that time, she always thought, what's so good about ordinary people's lives? But recently, she really wants to be an ordinary person. Questioning Xylin, understanding Xylin, and becoming Xylin was like a process, which made Shang Xuoyan understand a lot. Actually, I'm very disappointed with myself. While everyone was still immersed in what Shang Xuoyan said just now, her slightly crying voice came out from the earphones again. She said, "I don't want you to be disappointed in me, so when I come to this show, I try to act as normal as possible, but I don't know why I just very tired. After the dance yesterday, I think I should be very happy because everyone is happy, so I can't be unhappy even if I am infected, right? But it's just weird. I feel like I have no strength at all. I really can't squeeze out a smile. You think it's strange too, don't you? I at Shang Xuoyan. Why am I like this? I really hate who I am now. I hate the kind of indecisive and hesitant people the most. I have even scolded such people many times, but why am I now? I seem to have become that kind of person, ugh." As she spoke, she did not hold back. Her crying was brewing to the end, her voice became hoarse, and her tears flowed out uncontrollably. Indecisive and indecisive person? Who are you talking about? Take care of Huiyan. He should have some calculations in his mind. Not a single word of Shang Xuoyan's words mentioned Gu Huiyan, and everything sounded fine, but every word of it was about Gu Huiyan. She wanted to scold Gu Huiyan. What she said the night before was really true. He bullied her like this just because she liked him. This bastard was really irresponsible at all. How could he be so difficult for him? The choice was just left to her? Gu Huiyan didn't speak, just listened silently, which seemed a bit cruel. In comparison, the other guests seemed a little more humane. Almost all the girls cried when Shang Xuan poked them, and even a few male guests remained silent. Teacher, he stood in front of the door early and waited for Shang Xuan. When she came out, he was the first to give her a big hug. So be it. There really is nothing to talk about. Shang Xuan can say this, which is considered to be a face to the program team and guests. She gritted her silver teeth stubbornly and raised her jade hand to wipe her tears and said, "There is no empathy in this world. No one can understand the feelings of others. I hope that no one will ever experience my feelings. Thanks." After speaking, she bowed slightly, and her two colorful ponytails fluttered with her movements. After saying that, she walked out of the door. "Hey. All right. It's okay, no problem." When she went out, the guests came forward to comfort her. 3 teammates, Su Xiun, Shen Yuki, and Han Zionji, surrounded her in the middle, as if they were going to be her wall to protect her from the wind and rain. But in fact this is the most unreliable. If something goes wrong with her, her teammates will be the first to share her resources. Probably because the session was prepared for Shang Xuan, and what she said just now, the guests all went to comfort Shang Xuan. Not many people even noticed that it was Gu Huiyan's turn to speak her mind. Gu Huiyan just walked into that door secretly. Cough. It wasn't until his voice appeared in the ears of all the guests and the audience that everyone came back to their senses and realized that he had entered. At this time, the cameras showed Gu Huiyan. He was still the same as before, no makeup or dress up, just like a gay guy. Maybe it's because he walked in the village for a few days. He looks a bit dark in the camera. This old six is really easy to get dark. All the young girls are fairer than female stars. This old six usually records a photo. Variety shows are as black as charcoal. Maybe it's because Shang Xuan's words just now were so poignant that many people haven't come out yet. Even if Gu Huiyan is standing there now, many people's hearts are still with Shang Xuan. Some people would like to ask, can Gu Huiyan comfort Shang Xuan? But it seems unrealistic. As a male artist with a girlfriend, he needs to know how to avoid suspicion. And from the perspective of a friend, it seems that it is all in vain. Therefore, everyone seems to have little expectations for Gu Huiyan's confidence. This old man is heartless, so he shouldn't have anything to worry about, right? Speaking of which, everyone knew that Shang Xuan was not in good condition all day today, and everyone paid attention to it. Gu Huiyan did nothing except give him a bowl of stew. Indeed, some people would say that he was too cruel to avoid suspicion. After all, he and Shang Xuan also had the once popular android CP. All kinds of sounds fills the screen. Gu Huiyan stood on the platform by the seaside, looking at the sunset in the distance gradually disappearing into the horizon, and felt a little silent for the first time. It was already around 7:30, and it was almost getting dark in Hainan at this time. Gu Huiyan and the others could still see light from where they were facing the setting sun, but the sky behind them had begun to darken. Crash. The waves are constantly lapping against the rocks, and that image makes people very peaceful. At this time, Gu Huiyan couldn't help but think, no wonder there are always people willing to confide their troubles to the sea. There used to be that kind of drift bottle. It turns out that this kind of environment really makes people want to talk. I have nothing to worry about and nothing to talk about. When he thought it was time to get quiet outside, Gu Huiyan finally spoke into the microphone. When he said this, many people thought that Gu Huiyan was as cool as Zheng Yunbin. However, after Shang Xuan's sad words, he seemed a bit cruel if he acted calmly. Fortunately, right after, Gu Huiyan said again, "But I think I should be able to be a comforter. I prepared a song. Give it to Shang Xuan." Just as he finished speaking, a staff member came to the platform carrying an electronic keyboard. Many people's eyes lit up when they heard this. Sure enough, Gu Huiyan was not that kind of cruel person. At that time, the program crew showed some scenes of Gu Huiyan practicing piano in the afternoon. Some people always said that Gu Huiyan suddenly stopped caring about Shang Zuoyan today, but in fact he was making his preparations. When they saw that scene, some black people were quite slapped in the face. They thought that even if Gu Huiyan and Shang Zuoyan could not be lovers, they were still friends, and they were very good friends. They would not be indifferent to seeing her sad. This was indeed the case. Gu Huiyan never let them down. Watching the staff move the piano in, Shang Zuoyan's moist and red eyes were full of emotion. She was in a complicated mood. She couldn't say she was looking forward to it, but she was just curious about what song Gu Huiyan would sing. The piano was played very quickly. After all, Gu Huiyan asked the program team to prepare it in advance, so it was done in just a few minutes. Dong dong. Gu Huiyan tried the music, then put both hands on the black and white keys. Hoo hoo. Today's evening breeze can't be said to be gentle. You can indeed wear short sleeves all year round in Hainan, but it's still a bit cool at the beach in the evening in May. Gu Huiyan, who was wearing short-sleeved shirts, was young and strong and wouldn't feel cold, but it was certainly chilly. The wind blew Gu Huiyan's hair. With his short haircut, Gu Huiyan looked quite refreshing, and he actually looked quite handsome with his entire forehead exposed. On the beach, on the platform, he was alone with the piano and sang a song. This kind of picture is actually quite romantic. Call. As the past scenes came and went, Gu Huiyan took a deep breath and did not keep everyone waiting. This song is called, Listen to Me, and it is dedicated to all those who are at a low point or trapped in love. After saying that, he started playing. Dong dong. The crisp melody bloomed at Gu Huiyan's fingertips and was delivered to the ears of every guest and audience through the microphone. The first time I heard this prelude, I didn't think it was very recognizable, at least not as good as Sunny Day, Reverse War and other works. But it is very quiet and can make people fall into the drama if they listen quietly. And what really strikes people about this song is not the rhythm. And lyrically, no one expected that just the first line of the lyrics, Gu Huiyan gave everyone goosebumps. He sang. Look at the group photo of everyone. You're the only one not smiling. Just this lyric comes out. Oh. Many people had goosebumps all over their bodies. The barrage is going viral. No, are you still playing like this now? So sensational. Ah, he is so good at writing. Yesterday, after the dance party of the first season of Hello Life Partner came to an end, everyone took a group photo together. In that group photo, everyone was smiling happily. Only Shang Zuoyan looked tired. This matter was a hot search last night. Unexpectedly, such a sentence appeared in Gu Huiyan's lyrics today. This is too poignant. Someone said, you can really always believe in Gu Huiyan's lyrics. Throughout the past, Gu Huiyan's lyrics have always been perfect in terms of responding to the occasion, which is very impressive. Even the guests at the scene couldn't help showing expressions of admiration, and everyone had goosebumps. They wanted to say that Gu Huiyan really lived up to his reputation as a musical talent. Well-deserved reputation. Even Shang Zuoyan's red eyes had a bit of light flashing. And Gu Huiyan was still singing. We are pretending to be stupid. Or do you really have a lot of troubles that ordinary people don't have? I'm too lazy to give you the antidote. You like this anyway. Bend for love. Isn't it a habit you have been unable to give up? Oh. When listening to these words, many people's goosebumps popped up again, and they couldn't get rid of them. A few lyrics were sung by Gu Huiyan in a very understated tone. You clearly didn't hear any of the usual dazzling skills in his voice, and there weren't even many mood swings. You don't know why, but you just felt his in the voice. It's so full of emotions. That kind of fullness is something that those blind reviewers who always say you have no emotion in singing can't even imagine. Of course, the highlight of this performance is never the fullness of emotion, but lyrics. He said this was written to Shang Zhuoyan. Yes, isn't this lyric written about Shang Zhuoyan? Isn't her trouble something that many ordinary people don't have? Isn't bending her back for love a habit she has always been unable to give up? Aren't these all tailor-made for her? At this time, there should be a barrage comment saying, Shang Zhuoyan, just give me your ID card. Gu Huiyan is very interesting. From his lyrics, you can hear a soulful, non-pretentious, and non-greasy style. This is often reflected in words such as I'm too lazy to give you the antidote, you like this anyway in such lyrics. Such lyrics, like the best degreaser, not only vividly shape Shang Zhuoyan's image, but also put herself in the perspective of a bystander. In terms of angle, the design is really amazing. This song is really not catchy, and it doesn't even sound like singing so far, but I don't know why it is really memorable and recognizable, which is very impressive. So far, in just a few words, everyone has been impressed by Gu Huiyan's song Listen to Me, but how could they imagine that the essence of the song is still behind? Isn't it a habit that Gu Huiyan can't get rid of, driving high and walking high? He is not a big A, he will always go low if he drives high, and he will only be hard for a minute. Who are you thinking about and can't sleep? You should feel proud. Many people have no goals even if they want to fall out of love. Just want a good night's sleep. Don't show off. Ah. There are always some songs with a few lyrics that really touch people's hearts. This kind of poke can be moved, or it can be angry. Gu Huiyan, that's enough. Some people really felt like they were being ridiculed when Gu Huiyan sang Many people want to fall out of love but have no goals. They wished they could immediately take Gu Huiyan out and beat him up and ask him if he was still alive. What we are saying is that everyone understands that you are trying to comfort Shang Zhuoyan, but you can't base Shang Zhuoyan's happiness on our pain, right? We have never been in love, so we deserve to be ridiculed by you for having no goals even if you are broken in love. Gu Huiyan, you uncle. You, beep beep beep. To be honest, if it weren't for the fact that this song was written for Shang Zhuoyan, and everyone wanted to comfort Shang Zhuoyan at this time, Gu Huiyan would have been scolded now. It is worth mentioning that Shang Zhuoyan was rarely amused. That's why he said, many people have no goals even if they want to fall out of love. Gu Huiyan, this irresponsible bastard, can always do things that make people disgusted, moved, and dumbfounded. So annoying. It's really annoying. She doesn't want to laugh. Why are you teasing her now? Even if you write a song, you have to tease her. Who is this stinky bastard? That's right, this song was originally written for her next appearance. It's not sad people don't listen to slow songs, nor is it you are not really happy as some people guessed, but listen to me good. I highly recommend this song. The lyrics and music are very eye-catching, and the author is even more eye-catching. Okay, the high energy has begun. I guarantee that you will like every song that follows, because the preparation is in place. Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Swan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 290. Chapter 286 Gu Huiyan, I'll let you go. Gu Huiyan is not a person who likes sadness. His previous works are generally divided into two categories. One is related to Pei Jingshu's Pei Ban Takes Care of CP, which is a sweeter love song. The other kind is more inspirational, such as Stubborn and Adiao. Speaking of the sad songs he has written, it seems that the only one that Shang Zhuoyan said he hated the most on the way to the recording of the show was called The Name Engraved in My Heart. Gu Huiyan is always well received in this regard, because sad and pointless things are the easiest to write, but he rarely adopts that style. The only song The Name Engraved in My Heart also gives people a very high-end feeling. Today's song Listen to Me has completely subverted the previous model and also subverted many people's understanding of bitter love songs. The purpose of this song is not to express sadness, but to cheer people up in a similar way of ridicule. There are indeed many disappointments in life, which may be caused by work or major life events, or more likely by love. But as a human being, who doesn't have a trough? In the end, don't you always have to stand up? Just like Shang Xuan, Gu Huiyan always doesn't understand, why can't she get out? Don't say you're okay. Nothing wrong. You just blame life for being boring, woo. Nothing to worry about, I'm afraid I just thought of it. I can't stop thinking about the meaning of life. The crisp sound of the piano leaps into the ears of every audience member, making people's thoughts seem to keep beating along with his melody. There was wind on the beach, blowing Gu Huiyan's hair, revealing his smooth forehead, and blowing his clothes. He was always so simple, only wearing a short-sleeved shirt, not even a short shirt. Although he often exercised his muscles, he would not look like a thin dog. With such a vast sea as the background, his figure also looked a little thin and small. But his voice, at this moment, was even more touching than the sound of the waves that could be heard everywhere. Listen to me. Laugh if you want to cry. Actually, you know, worries will solve worries. When the new comes, forget the old. A small accusation is just what you want. Life, mood. Will worry really solve the problem? No one knows. As a lyricist, Gu Huiyan is quite cruel. In his lyrics, he slaps some people who are desperate for love. Listen to his lyrics. Don't say you're okay, there's nothing wrong with it. Listen to me, laugh if you want to cry. In just 2 sentences, it was like pressing those who were dying to the ground and rubbing them hard, beating them awake, beating them awake. In this case, most people may just think about it for a long time, but Gu Huiyan can easily plan it into a complete structure, incorporate it into his own lyrics, and sing it to everyone through singing. Just this is enough to be admirable, right? However, the tone is still persuasive, very patient, and the intention is very wise. In addition, after all, he is the devil of composing and arranging. Gu Huiyan's music styles are changeable. He can really control various music styles easily. This time the song does not have so much personal style in it, and it even subverts the previous ones. Everyone's perception of him as the prelude killer. The overall feeling is very good and novel. To be honest, when Gu Huiyan said that the song was written for Shang Xuan, many people may have thought that it would be a song with the same positive energy as sad people don't listen to slow songs. Gu Huiyan has never been pretentious, let alone greasy. This is especially reflected in his works. You will never hear the most superficial and sticky things in his works. The fact is indeed as they expected. Everything this song expresses is very positive. But what people didn't expect is that the melody of this song is so sad. Use the saddest melody and curse-like lyrics to express the purest positive energy. Every lyric in it is very sophisticated. Starting from the first lyric of the main song, look at the group photo, you are the only one who is not smiling. Almost every verse can give people goosebumps. Even if it is tailor-made, what Gu Huiyan does is amazing. The most amazing thing is that in his lyrics, there is not a single word about Shang Xuan, but every word he sings is Shang Xuan. Even if he didn't say that this song was written for Shang Xuan, this song would be the song can also be written about anyone who is trapped in love and is at a low point. Someone said, Gu Huiyan really taught a lesson to all Chinese music lyricists. Lyrics, even if they are written specifically for someone or are tailor-made for someone, they should not refer to someone in particular or write their name specifically. The most disgusting thing is those who write people's names, especially those who add people's names to diss on rap programs. That is really low level. They deserve not to be promoted and they deserve not to become a big hit. Others said, Gu Huiyan is indeed a master of Chinese music. If it weren't for this great holy body, how could he have created such a stunning work? Of course, there were even tearful expressions from the audience. I cried to death. There is encouragement for those who want to express themselves, and there is also ridicule for similar people. Gu Huiyan used this song "Listen to Me" to vividly explain to everyone what it means. The best comfort is to give her a slap. Only when a slap wakes her up will she come out, otherwise she will stay in that trough area. When everyone felt sorry for Shang Zuoyan, and when she left through the door after saying those words, they all rushed to comfort her. As his best friend, Gu Huiyan did the opposite and implicitly slapped Shang Zuoyan with the song. This slap. There was no physical pain. But it made Shang Zuoyan feel hot in her heart. She really didn't know whether to cry or laugh now. When the camera showed her face that had just cried and was a little swollen, like a frog, her expression was really complicated. She never thought that Gu Huiyan would write a song for her at this time, and it was a work that made her very touched, very ashamed, but unable to refute it. In this song, she seemed to hear Gu Huiyan telling her something. You are already an adult, and you should know how to distinguish the relationship between life and love. Life is not for love, but love is based on dependence on life. You can have a bad love, but you cannot indulge yourself in a bad life. Toru's life. No matter what our future will be like, no matter how entangled you are today and at this moment, no matter how you choose the choice I give you, you should not let your life rot and stink because of a relationship. You are Shang Zuoyan, you should be bright and beautiful, you should be confident, you should love all kinds of things, you should always smile as carelessly as a 200-pound fat man, and you should have no resistance to any delicious food. This is how you should live your life. Your life should be far more glorious than it is now. It should not be dark colors such as black, white and gray. It should be Roland purple, Yuan Feng blue, Qingshan dye, and love sickness red. It should be colorful. Just like the colorful hair she had dyed when Gu Huiyan first met her. That is her Shang Zuoyan. But look at what she looks like now. To be honest, Gu Huiyan really didn't bother to comfort her anymore, just like the lyrics sang, I'm too lazy to give you the antidote, you like this anyway. Comfort is always the most useless thing. Why are so many people willing to comfort others but not wake them up? Because comfort does not require responsibility. Comfort doesn't cost you anything, and it's meaningless if you don't take it seriously. Not to mention friends, even dear people can come by casually. Instead of comforting her, why not give her a slap to wake her up? Ah! Everyone who realized this had goosebumps on their bodies, and the barrage flooded the screen with a sentence called, Gu Huiyan, that's enough. In this song Listen to Me, Gu Huiyan really takes the anti-hypocrisy thing to the extreme. While others were moaning crazily, Gu Huiyan woke everyone up with a song of the same genre. His whole song is extremely literary, without a single curse word, not a single curse word, not a single name, but he almost scolds everyone who moans for no reason. It made many viewers watching the show feel ashamed of themselves. Certainly. What troubles them the most is the sarcasm sometimes revealed in Gu Huiyan's song. For example, the line from the main song in section B. There will be people who will keep you awake and still burn for someone. My dear, such romantic suffering is not something you can just want. Don't show off. Different from the live singing in previous programs, this song Listen to Me was written and sung completely by Gu Huiyan. The main song of section B is usually different from the previous one, but these two short lyrics once again satirized many single viewers. There is a sentence in the barrage. Opening lightning strike. Are you really shocked? In the A section, Gu Huiyan sang, many people want to fall out of love but have no goals. Well, the B section echoes the previous one. Everyone also wanted to applaud, but more single viewers wanted to attack Gu Huiyan. He sang Don't Show Off in his lyrics, but why did he feel like he was just showing off? Don't say you're okay, there's nothing wrong with you. Fortunately, the changes to the chorus are very small, just a few words changed. Maybe they have listened to the entire A segment, so when they listened to the B segment, many viewers were already enjoying it. A small indictment only proves that life. No, boring. After singing the B chorus, many people may think that the whole song is over. Even the melody in Gu Huiyan's hand had stopped. Many guests, staff, and others at the scene had raised their hands and were ready to applaud. But who knows the next moment? Dong dong. Gu Huiyan played the piano again and sang the last line, which was the finishing touch. He sang, "Don't let me know that you are actually carrying us." Smirking. When these lyrics fall. Wow. Almost everyone listening to this song found that their goosebumps that had been suppressed have risen again. This lyric is really eye-catching and to the point. Throughout the whole song, you may not notice any hostility, but it is all about slapping those who are willing to die for love in a persuasive way. This is obvious. If there is a person being persuaded in this song, then the character set up for this person in the whole song must be a very sad and angry person, who hates iron but cannot be strong, like Shang Zhuoyan. To be honest, although it sounds good and feels very pleasant and appropriate to the occasion, after the whole song, you will also feel that this persona is too poor. She was just trapped in love, what was wrong with her? It will give people an uncomfortable feeling. But the last lyric is very interesting. Don't let me know that you are laughing behind our backs. It instantly gave the character who was supposed to be pitiful a hint of playfulness. And snickering may also mean that this person is actually very rational and knows everything. The reason why he acts so sad is more like a disguise. In short, this lyric leaves a foreshadowing for the whole song that is like a movie Easter egg that makes people think. It also makes this character less boring. If the whole song is like painting, then the painting must be a black and white painting, and the last lyric seems to add color to the whole painting. It seemed that what Gu Huiyan wanted to express made Shang Zhuoyan become colorful again. And that lyric is indeed in line with Shang Zhuoyan's character. All in all, as the last line of lyrics fell, Gu Huiyan gave people the feeling of perfect, impeccable. When he was playing 1 vs 5 last week, someone said he was a hexagon warrior. This is not only reflected in his music style, but also in the integrity of his works. In today's Chinese music scene, it's really hard for you to pick out a piece that can be called impeccable. But this song Listen Well to Me is no matter in terms of lyrics, composition, arrangement, conception, connotation, etc. They can really be called hexagonal warriors. I really can't find anything wrong with it. Perhaps compared to Gu Huiyan's other works, such as Sunny Day and Reverse War, which are widely sung, this song will be a bit niche. But just because it's niche doesn't mean its quality is bad. This song is really hard for people with no taste to listen to. Oh. Pa bang bang. Too strong. When the last lyrics of Gu Huiyan's Listen to Me came to an end, the guests and staff at the scene unanimously raised their hands and applauded. Even at this time, most of the millions of viewers across the country raised their hands and applauded involuntarily. I feel like this song is really awe-inspiring. Gu Huiyan's song really touched many people. Call. When he finished singing this song, Gu Huiyan was not in a hurry to go out through the door. He just took a deep breath and removed his hands from the black and white keys. As the singing of Listen to Me ended, the sunset finally disappeared completely on the coastline, and the entire sky became dark. There was light behind the door, but there was no light in Gu Huiyan's place. This scene inexplicably reminded people of the scene of him and Shang Zhuoyan on the beach west of their home last night. Tonight's theme is confidence. In fact, he also wanted to talk. He is the most difficult one. This song Listen to Me is sung to Shang Zhuoyan, so why not to himself? He also wanted to scold himself. but what he said in his heart was really impossible to express for everyone to hear. Sometimes Gu Huiyan envies Shang Xueyan. He envies her for crying when she is sad and mourning when she is unhappy. But Gu Huiyan couldn't cry or mourn. Not only because of his unpretentious and down-to-earth persona, but also because of him. It's a man. A man doesn't shed tears lightly, and he doesn't shed tears easily no matter what happens to him. This is what a man is. As a man, he must be more responsible. But it seems that he has never been responsible for Shang Xueyan's feelings. Even the choice must be left to Shang Xueyan. Crash. The wind was getting stronger and stronger, and the waves swept over the rocks. The waves were beating hard and occasionally water splashed onto Gu Huiyan's face, which was very clear to the touch. But Gu Huiyan just stood there without saying anything for a long time. Why don't you come out? What's wrong? At that time, many guests were still thinking, what happened to Gu Huiyan, who didn't come out or speak after singing? What happened? In the crowd, only Shang Xueyan's eyes flickered as she looked at the door. At this moment, Shang Xueyan didn't cry anymore. It was quite strange. She was so moved by the song Listen to Me, but she couldn't cry anymore. To be honest, Shang Xueyan hates this confidence session prepared by the program team, but it is undeniable that the preparation of this door is really meaningful. For a moment, she would think that this was like the door to Gu Huiyan's heart, always closed like that, never open to her. Even if she kept staring at this door and looking forward to it, it still wouldn't open. Open. He would care about her, sing for her behind the door, and let everyone know that he was not cruel to her, but why couldn't he just walk out of this door openly and embrace her? Why doesn't she deserve such a door to be opened for her? Shang Xueyan. Shang Xueyan was desperate. At this moment, she couldn't help but think that if Gu Huiyan didn't come out through this door tonight, then the choice Gu Huiyan gave her last night. She should also have a choice. She is very tired, Gu Huiyan is also very tired, and there will be no good results if this continues. Instead of doing this, she might as well. It's better to take care of Huiyan's freedom. A picture emerged in her mind involuntarily, that is, she was holding back her tears and reluctantly said to Gu Huiyan. Gu Huiyan, I let you go. Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Xuan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 291. To be honest, Shang Xueyan is quite self-deceiving. She thought that the result of letting Gu Huiyan go was based on the fact that Gu Huiyan did not come out through this door. But the question is, how could Gu Huiyan not come out through this door? So actually, she was still thinking about being with Gu Huiyan like this. People can never go against their own hearts. Rational people don't toss a coin because at the moment of tossing the coin, they already know what choice they will make. And Shang Xueyan was sitting here, staring at the door, waiting for Gu Huiyan to come out from there. Come for her. She was sure he would come out. But after waiting for a long time, they still didn't wait for Gu Huiyan to come out. Let's go in and have a look. Some guests were worried and wanted to go over and have a look. Brother Chanfeng was relatively close to that door, so he got up and went over to push the door open to see what was going on. Gu Huiyan didn't come out, he didn't make a sound, he couldn't hear anything in his earphones, and he didn't know what was going on. However, just when Chanfeng arrived at the door, just listen to a pop sound. A very sudden and strange sound, like a person diving into the water, came from the other side of the door. Isn't this old man able to jump? Wak Gu Huiyan jumped into the sea. Help, hey. This kid can swim, who can he save? The barrage started flowing wildly at this moment. What's wrong? What's the situation? The guests panicked when they heard the sound of diving. Chanfeng didn't care about all kinds of things and pushed open the blue door. When the camera went to the other side of the door, Gu Huiyan was no longer there. There were only microphones, stands, electronic keyboards, and some things on the ground. Gu Huiyan's wheat and equipment. And what about Gu Huiyan? When the camera goes to the sea, you will find a figure lying there in the shape of a big character. Not a word was spoken. There was no expression on his face. Just lay there. Anyone who knows how to swim knows that people can float on water. When lifeguards give people popular science knowledge, they often say that if you fall into the water, try to lie back in a big shape, with your head tilted back and floating. The nose and mouth can be used to inhale, which is the posture that can preserve physical strength and survive to the greatest extent. There are no disadvantages except that the nose easily chokes water. Gu Huiyan can swim. When he jumped into the sea last week, he did a lot of freestyle, breaststroke, and swimming. So it was obvious that he had no thoughts of committing suicide while lying there like this. Because of this, the audience who saw the scene breathed a sigh of relief. "What are you doing, you idiot?" The audience rolled their eyes and couldn't help but complain, "This bastard really doesn't deserve to be a human being." Even the guests were very angry. Of course, the biggest headache was the program crew. The program crew was responsible for the safety of the artists. Last week, Gu Huiyan went into the sea without wearing a life jacket, which was enough to give them a headache. This week, this guy even better, just jump into the sea like crazy. They also wanted to complain about Gu Huiyan, but this damn boy remembered to take off all his wheat before jumping into the sea to protect the program equipment, but they were left with no place to complain. I really can't laugh or cry with him, okay. Gu Huiyan. When the guests rushed over, Zhang Ma was at the front. She originally wanted to scold Gu Huiyan, but along with the various 3 chapters of agreement she gave Gu Huiyan, this boy didn't take it to heart at all and just threw it out of the sky. Ah! Isn't he too casual? He can dance whenever he wants. But before Zhang Ma's words blurted out. Asshole! Gu Huiyan! You stinking bastard! Shang Zuoyan squeezed to the front from nowhere. She looked frightened at first. After seeing that Gu Huiyan was fine, she clenched her teeth and her delicate body trembled crazily. She knelt down on her knees and squatted there in a duck-sitting position, full of excitement. With tears in his face he shouted to Gu Huiyan. "Get up here! Come up here!" She was shouting at the top of her lungs, and she was emotionally broken. Anyone who could see her face could see this. As a professional female idol, Shang Zuoyan has always been very good at managing her expressions. She can control even tears. No one has ever seen so many breakdowns on her delicate, doll-like face. Almost to the point of exploding expression. To be honest, when she shouted to Gu Huiyan in the sea just now, you could see that her entire facial features were distorted, as if they were exerting force. You weren't so twisted when you were squatting in the pit, were you? She yelled and roared so much, and her final voice was even a little broken, which hurt her throat and made people feel heart-wrenching. Of course, you don't have to listen carefully anymore, you can tell it just by looking at the way she can't stop crying. Not only was she shouting, she was also slapping the ground as if she wanted to vent. Shang Zuoyan's sudden breach of defense really scared many people. Su Xiun, Zhang Yao and others looked at her strangely, and many viewers were also dumbfounded. They even forgot to post the barrage for a while. Many people may not have realized why she broke the defense. Just now, when everyone came in, although they were a little surprised because Gu Huiyan suddenly dived without saying hello, when they saw that Gu Huiyan was fine, they thought that this might be the effect of Gu Huiyan Gao's show, and they couldn't laugh or cry. Stand up. Didn't take it seriously. After all, Gu Huiyan has been casual more than once or twice. When he went into the sea last week, everyone knew that he was good at water. There were indeed rocks under the stone platform, but the place where he jumped happened to be full of sea water. Plus, he was so casual and comfortable. Lying there. That must be the effect of the program. Even Zhang Ma just wanted to call him a few words. But Shang Zuoyan was the only one who actually shouted as if she was on guard. This made everyone feel very abrupt and strange. Some people may wonder, is it because she has a good relationship with Gu Huiyan, is she worried about Gu Huiyan's safety, and is angry with him for jumping down without saying hello? But look at the sadness on her face, what's going on? This point. No one knows. Shang Zuoyan just knelt there like a duck and cried. Let the tears wet the beautiful skirt, let the knees rub on the ground that was not smooth, and let the tears stain the makeup. Okay. Although they didn't know what was going on, the guests went to comfort Shang Zuoyan first. To be honest, even Su Xiun and her 3 teammates have worked together with Shang Zuoyan for so many years, but they have never seen her cry like this. As for being so heartbreaking, Gu Huiyan in the sea was also a little confused by the shouting. To be honest, he actually felt so stressed and bored for a moment just now. Looking at the sea in front of him, he wanted to jump. Don't get me wrong, I don't want to commit suicide, I just want to jump in and swim around to relax. Gu Huiyan really likes swimming. When you are in the water, all you think about is movement and breathing, and nothing else. Otherwise, you will easily choke if you lose your mind for a moment. For him, going to the sea is a kind of relaxation. But he never thought that going to the sea would be the last straw for Shang Zuoyan. Why don't you come up quickly? As soon as Shang Zuoyan broke through the defense, Zhang Ma could no longer play bad guy. She glared at Gu Huiyan from a distance and called him to come up. Oh. Gu Huiyan nodded, turned around and swam away. Let's just say that this guy is asking for trouble. The location where they recorded the confidence session was in a reef area with no place to go ashore. He had to swim 500 to 600 meters to get ashore. In the end, the program crew asked the staff to drive the boat over and pull him up. After Gu Huiyan went up, he hurriedly recorded the end, and this was how the program ended. The program is over, but the discussion of this program is not low. On the one hand, it was because of the arrival of Shang Zuoyan, her poor condition, and what she said on the platform. On the other hand, it was also because of the song Listen to Me that Gu Huiyan sang to her, and her final scream. Yelled at Gu Huiyan. To be honest, the defense-breaking shouting was really strange to many people, kind of. The feeling of heartbreak. From the audience's perspective, everyone actually thought that Shang Zuoyan was in poor condition because she was reported online during that period. But for some reason, at that moment, everyone suddenly felt that Shang Zuoyan had been like this all because of Gu Huiyan. That's why she yells at him, that's why she's so sad and so defensive. After the year, Shang Zuoyan's working status has actually recovered. She had appeared on other programs before coming to Hello Life Partner, and her performance on other programs has always been quite normal. But as long as I come here and be in the same frame as Gu Huiyan, that's it. This makes people feel quite strange. In addition, she yelled at the diving Gu Huiyan at the beach at the end. All kinds of discussions started to come one after another. Many people said whether the two of them had some shady relationship, and the little Heezy who exposed his chicken feet also started to make various rhythms. Gu Huiyan's team is relatively smart. They took the initiative to guide the topic to Gu Huiyan's Listen to Me. Using the content of this song, it was clarified that Shang Zuoyan's defense at that time was only because Gu Huiyan had just sung this song to her. She was very moved and worried about Gu Huiyan. Seeing Gu Huiyan made her worry in vain, and she felt those grievances exploded out of nowhere, which is why I broke through my defenses like that. Thus, the turmoil didn't break out in the end. Although there were various discussions and several hot searches, it did not have any impact in the end. To be honest, Gu Huiyan really can't have any stain on his relationship now. Pei Ban takes care of CP between him and Pei Jingshu is so popular that many people believe in love because of them. Many people said at the beginning that if they both broke up, then they no longer believe in love. It may also be because of Pei Jingshu's absolute white moonlight status in the minds of countless viewers. Once something goes wrong with them, Gu Huiyan will be thrown into a place of eternal destruction. Also because they know the consequences, many fans of this melon dare not eat it for fear of causing problems. The recording of the program ended very hastily, but it was over after all, and it was almost time to end. The recording of this program is over, and it's time for the guests to pack up and leave. Basically, after the recording is over, everyone goes back to pack their luggage. It may be because it was the first time to record the program last week, so some people booked their flights late, and some who were not busy left the second night after recording. This week, if the flight is not inappropriate, it is basically tonight's flight. Bye bye. See you next week. Take care of Yanyan for me. Okay, bye. When it gets dark, the Whale Village recording venue, which has been busy all day, gradually becomes lonely. After the guests said hello, they left. It is true that some people may care about Shangzhuoyan, but in fact, they are limited to caring about this. They each have their own affairs, and no one will delay their own affairs because of others' poor condition. So there will be no penalty for delaying the announcement. So most of the guests came to say hello and then left. Young wife Yao has nothing to do, and the flight is not suitable, so she leaves tomorrow morning. As a program producer, Jiang's mother couldn't leave during the recording, and she wasn't happy to fly around all day, so she simply stayed here. The two of them were left comforting Shangzhuoyan, who couldn't hold back after breaking the defense. She just cried, very heart-wrenchingly, and if asked what was going on she would just shake her head and say nothing. I have used almost 2 packs of toilet paper and I just can't stop crying. Just cry. Time passed, the assistant also helped pack her luggage, and it was time for her to leave. Gu Huiyan was about to leave at this moment, but he arrived late. You kid, you still know how to come. Mother Zhang was about to stab Gu Huiyan twice. This bastard had no time to do anything but dance in the sea. The song "Listen to Me" was so touching and stunning. What would happen to him if he didn't jump into the sea normally? No, the audience will still praise him in various ways. This is good. Shangzhuoyan's defense was broken, and the audience started to speculate, causing her to spend money on public relations. Gu Huiyan scratched his head and said nothing, just glanced in the direction of Shangzhuoyan's car. Just at this moment, Zhang Yao also came out of the car. Shangzhuoyan was leaving. She must have said a few words before getting down. Eh? You haven't left yet? She was quite surprised when she saw Gu Huiyan, because Gu Huiyan's flight was the tightest and he was supposed to leave the earliest. She thought that Gu Huiyan had left long ago, so she just kept saying bad things about Gu Huiyan and men in the car. None of them are good, they all have big pig hooves, and so on. Who would have thought that Gu Huiyan was still here? Changed the flight, Gu Huiyan said casually. That's it? Young woman Yao nodded. How is she? Zhang Ma asked, pointing in the direction of the car. Still like that, the young woman Yao sighed helplessly. Let me go and have a look. Gu Huiyan walked in while rubbing his aching head. When he passed by, the assistants, makeup artists, and driver in Shangzhuoyan's car were all very knowledgeable, and they consciously got out of the car and stayed aside. The privacy in the car is very good. Not only are the windows covered with sun-protective black films, but the curtains are also drawn. The sound insulation effect of this business car seems to be very good. You can't hear anything spoken from inside. When Gu Huiyan got in the car, what he saw was Shangzhuoyan curled up on the seat, her delicate body trembling with tears. She had been crying for a long time, and it seemed that she could no longer make any sound, just choking. That look is quite distressing. She probably heard the sound of Gu Huiyan getting into the car. She raised her head and took a look. When she saw it was Gu Huiyan. What are you doing here? Get out of here. She actually made a pink fist and punched Gu Huiyan in a series of small punches. She also kicked and punched Gu Huiyan's knees. Well, now is not the time to joke. Hit, 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 whatever you want. At first, Gu Huiyan was blocking it with his hands, but then he stopped blocking it. He closed his eyes, stared at his head and chest, and moved closer, saying, "You can beat me to death. Anyway, nothing I do is right, and everything I do will make you sad. The fault is all mine. I am not responsible, okay?" It is worth mentioning that just now he was blocking Shang Xueyan's small fists, but now that he was not blocking her, her pink fists could not even land. You scoundrel." Her face was covered with tears, and her makeup was all stained. The makeup of a girl who cried when she cried was really not good looking, because eye makeup is the most important part of a girl who knows how to put on makeup, and very strong colors are used in it. Once she cries, it took. Okay, cyan, black, gray, it can spread from the position of the silkworm to the entire face to the chin. Just like that, excessive smoky eye. That is to say, Shang Xueyan's face is as plump as a doll. If anyone else were crying like this, she would really look like Meng Po. I don't know if she was stimulated by Gu Huiyan's words, but Shang Xueyan angrily punched him in the chest a few more times. Hitting his chest requires closing the distance, so when Shang Xueyan hit him, it was as if she was going to jump into his arms. Hiss. He didn't know whether it hurt from being hammered, or whether she really seemed to have thrown herself into his arms. Gu Huiyan hesitated for a moment, then raised his hand and hugged her shoulders. Now that she had lifted up, his two hands immediately wrapped around her, as if to hug her. In fact, when the choice was handed over to Shang Xueyan that night, Gu Huiyan's attitude was already very clear. He refused to come to Shang Xueyan, so he would rather be a fish at the mercy of others. "What are you doing? Let go, let go. Get out." Shang Xueyan struggled at first, but then the intensity of the struggle became smaller and smaller, and there were more and more tears, and the fist that hit him became softer and softer. Finally, she threw herself into Gu Huiyan's arms and cried again. She hugged Gu Huiyan tightly. Gu Huiyan could feel the two brothers Xiang and Daxian pushing their butts against him. It was so soft. "All right," Gu Huiyan could only say while patting her back. "I'll give you half an hour at most to cry. If my flight is changed, it's only half an hour. If it's later, you can cry on your own. Smelly, stinky bastard, you are not a human being." While she was crying and choking, she raised her jade hand to pat Gu Huiyan. She actually didn't know what to say to scold Gu Huiyan, but she was very angry. She never expected that Gu Huiyan would not come out of that door today. There was only one way for him, but instead of going out, he chose to jump into the sea. He would rather jump into the sea than come out of this door and embrace himself. This is what makes Shang Xueyan the most sad and the most unbearable. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Swan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 292. Of course, Shang Xueyan was really frightened at that time. God knows how frightened she was when she heard the pop sound of Gu Huiyan jumping into the sea. She didn't care at that time whether Gu Huiyan could swim, she only cared about the fact that he jumped into the sea. She was even thinking at the time, was she pushing Gu Huiyan too hard and he couldn't hold it anymore, so he committed suicide. She really couldn't bear such consequences. The gathering of various emotions put her on the verge of collapse. When she saw that Gu Huiyan was fine and just lying there relaxing, she truly broke her guard. That kind of breaking of defense would be more violent than if he actually committed suicide and jumped into the sea. She wanted to scold Gu Huiyan, Scold this stinky bastard to death. How could he make her worry so much while she was floating on the sea relaxed? This was also the reason why she hit Gu Huiyan like that when he got in the car. She really wants to beat this bastard to death. But Gu Huiyan really let go and let her hit him, but she couldn't do it anymore. In the end, I could only be held by him and said such cruel words. She herself was wondering, when did Shang Zuoyan become a crybaby? Why do you seem to be crying all the time? She doesn't want this, really doesn't want it, never wants it? Have you considered? It was probably because he was holding Shang Zuoyan, so Gu Huiyan could speak in Shang Zuoyan's ear with his mouth slightly to one side. Originally, Shang Zuoyan was crying. Even though her voice was getting smaller and smaller, she could still feel her body shaking. But until I heard Gu Huiyan's words, her body seemed to freeze all of a sudden, motionless. Like a sculpture, lying in Gu Huiyan's arms, there was no movement anymore. For a long time, Gu Huiyan could only hear her breathing. Gu Huiyan didn't speak, and Shang Zuoyan didn't speak either. To be honest, at this moment, they were very greedy for each other's arms, because they knew very well that if Shang Zuoyan made that decision, and that decision was a 1-for-1, 2-for-1, then maybe in the future, they will never have such a hug again. She didn't pretend to be stupid and choose to escape like Gu Huiyan did to her in the past. Shang Zuoyan doesn't like indecisive people and often scolds such people, so she will never be such a person. Standing up from Gu Huiyan's arms, Shang Zuoyan pursed her lips stubbornly, took a tissue from one side and wiped the tears that could not be wiped away from the corners of her eyes. Her big watery eyes stared at Gu Huiyan like this. She did not directly answer Gu Huiyan's question immediately, whether she had thought about it or not. She just opened her red lips and said, "I want to ask you a question." "You ask." Gu Huiyan nodded. In fact, there was nothing wrong with being a fish, and he wasn't very uneasy. The environment in the car was very dark. It was already dark. They were the only two people sitting in the car with the curtains drawn. They didn't even turn on the lights in order to avoid being discovered by outsiders. But Shang Zuoyan's gaze, which Gu Huiyan could see, seemed to always emit a faint light. Maybe not as bright as before, but she still has a light that is unique to her. She asked Gu Huiyan, "Can you see me falling in love with someone else?" A question that suddenly confused Gu Huiyan. Gu Huiyan stared at a pair of pure 24K titanium alloy eyes. He didn't say a word for a long time, and finally said, "Ah." He really didn't expect Shang Zuoyan to ask such a question, so he really didn't know how to answer. Because he was so confused that his brain was shut down, Gu Huiyan didn't even have time to think about what she meant behind the words. Shang Zuoyan didn't shy away from it at all. Her eyes were still red and moist, and her legs were still curled up on the seat. That posture looked so tempting. She asked again, "Can you see me falling into other people's arms? Can you see me showing affection to others?" Although the environment in the car was dim, Gu Huiyan could completely detect the meaning written in Shang Zuoyan's big bright eyes. Sharp. At this moment, she was no longer as confused as she had been when Gu Huiyan saw her in the past 6 months. It was as if he had suddenly found his own dingai needle and his own direction. Shang Zuoyan. When will she be the kind of girl who can be exploited and slaughtered by others, and who can throw a heavy burden on her to anyone? Gu Huiyan, this irresponsible bastard, couldn't make a choice, so he would rather be a piece of fish on the chopping board, throw the knife into her hand, and let her be the executioner. How could she let Gu Huiyan get his wish so easily? What she wants to express is simple. If there is no future for them, there is no reason for her to die alone for such a heartless man. Even if she does not like the person she loves in the future, she will definitely get married and have children. And if that day comes, can he, Gu Huiyan, see it? Can he really endure it when she embraces someone else? She doesn't believe it. Gu Huiyan was indeed dumbfounded when he realized what Shang Xuan meant. If there is a light right now, you can see that the expressions on Gu Huiyan's face are very complicated, including dullness, confusion, and all kinds of displeased, even angry. Of course, there is also a lot of shame. He is indeed ashamed. When he thinks about his relationship with Shang Xuan, he always thinks forward and backward. If he and Shang Xuan are together, what serious consequences will they face in the future, both morally and career-wise? The relationship, wait. That is a consequence they cannot face. But he seemed to have really never thought about what would happen in the future if they just parted ways and ended like this. It is impossible for Shang Xuan to die alone because of him. There is no hope for him, and she will definitely continue to go on. Getting married and having children is inevitable for everyone at that age. If you don't worry, your family will be anxious. Even if Shang Xuan doesn't like others anymore, if she can meet someone who will accompany her, she might not do it. Plans to get married. Everyone has to think about their own future. And if that day comes, can Gu Huiyan really be able to calmly watch her fall into the arms of others? The answer is obvious. Gu Huiyan didn't even need to think. His body, mind, and other aspects all gave him the answer immediately. Cannot. He answered decisively, even though he knew it was shameless and selfish to say so, but he still shook his head consciously and said, I can't see a bit. To be honest, Gu Huiyan himself never thought that he would answer so simply. He obviously hesitated for nearly a year and more than 300 days when faced with the matter of going with Shang Xuan, but when faced with the consequences of not going with her, he didn't even hesitate for 3 seconds. The answer came out immediately. Perhaps it was at this moment that Gu Huiyan truly realized that Shang Xuan was so important to him. Pook. Shang Xuan actually laughed. It was very rare that she laughed right away. It was obvious that not a few minutes ago, before she said these words, she was crying so hard that Li Wadai was choked up and said, Are you laughing now? The smile is very bright. She knew that Gu Huiyan liked her and had always known it, but she was not sure what her status was in his heart and whether she could compare with Pei Jingshu. But now it seems she was belittling herself. Her importance in this heartless man's heart was no less important than that of Pei Jingshu. Gu Huiyan held his forehead silently, looking like he had a headache. To be honest, Shang Xuan is really smart. She never suffers losses in vain. Even if the choice has been given to her, she will not let Gu Huiyan put this burden on her shoulders. She still had to force Gu Huiyan to show his attitude. Just like her character, so arrogant. So can I understand that, you have thought about it? Now that we've talked about it, it seems like it's time to make a decision anyway, right? But Shang Xuan shook her head and said, Who told you that I had thought about it? I didn't. Then what are you? Gu Huiyan wanted to say that you didn't think carefully about asking me this kind of question. It's easy to burn yourself if you play with fire, okay? Shang Xuan rolled her eyes at him and said, I have indeed thought about it, but I don't want to answer you now. You have bullied me for so long, and I also want to catch you. Are you just fishing here? There are no bitter tea seeds left from this fish, okay? Maybe it was because she got a very satisfactory answer from Gu Huiyan that exceeded her expectations, so Shang Xuan was in a very good mood. She opened the waiting room in the car, looked in the mirror, wiped the makeup on her face with a tissue, and touched up her makeup. While saying, I heard that you are filming in Delhi. I happen to have a job there next week. I will give you the answer then. Does she mean to go visit the class? As you wish. Gu Huiyan shook his head and said, Since you're okay, I'm leaving. Looking at the time, it was almost time for him to catch a plane. Shang Xuan did not try to persuade him to stay, but just nodded lightly. To be honest, She really wanted to give Gu Huiyan an answer tonight, but who let? Who made her so embarrassed now? She thought that when she made that decision, she must be the most beautiful and the best looking. Look at her now, she's crying like a ghost. So shameless. When he got out of the car and closed the door, Gu Huiyan glanced at Shang Zuoyan in the car. To be honest, at this moment, Gu Huiyan could clearly feel that Shang Zuoyan's overall condition had become much better. She stopped crying so much, stopped making noises so much, started to smile, became playful, and even started to touch up her makeup to care about her image. It was like new buds had grown out of the burned trees. This is deeply gratifying, as if she has finally come out, and it turns out that only with Gu Huiyan can she get better. Logically speaking, Gu Huiyan should be happy, but for some reason, he just can't be happy. To be honest, he was not afraid of being scolded. When Gu Huiyan told Shang Zuoyan that he had given her the choice, the reason why he mentioned so many consequences was actually because he wanted her to give up. But she didn't. Instead, he stubbornly asked a question that Gu Huiyan couldn't refute, cleverly digging a hole for him that he had to jump into. This time, Gu Huiyan was directly restrained. Maybe she hasn't given Gu Huiyan an answer yet, but in fact Gu Huiyan already knows what she means. When the day comes for her to give her answer, Gu Huiyan may indeed not be able to refuse her anymore, right? In short, now that Shang Zuoyan is well, it's his turn to be emo. When Gu Huiyan got out of the car, Mother Zhang seemed to have left, saying that the program team wanted to see her for something. It's fine. The young woman Yao caught a glimpse of Shang Zuoyan touching up her makeup inside, and she stopped crying and fussing, and her eyes lit up. Gu Huiyan nodded. As expected of you. Zhang Yao folded her hands around her chest, glanced in the direction of the car, then at Gu Huiyan, and said again. It has to be you. No one else can. Her words were a bit suggestive. After all, she heard clearly the conversation between Gu Huiyan and Shang Zuoyan that night. Gu Huiyan's mouth twitched when he heard this. She didn't mention it in the past 2 days. Gu Huiyan thought she drank too much that night and forgot that it was a dream when she woke up the next day. After a long time of trouble, the young woman Yao remembered it clearly. Zhang Yao raised her hand to cover her mouth and smiled. The sea breeze blew up her skirt. Her legs were white and tight, and the young woman's charm was clearly visible. She smiled and said, "Don't forget the party next week, Monday night, at Guangdong's." On Monday. The corner of Gu Huiyan's mouth twitched. Before Zhang Yao said next week, Gu Huiyan thought it was the weekend. How the hell did he know it was Monday? Today is Sunday, so isn't it tomorrow? Why don't you just say it's tonight? He silently held his forehead. Ah yes, tomorrow night. Zhang Yao giggled, teasing Gu Huiyan, and was very happy to criticize him. You didn't tell me earlier. Gu Huiyan held his forehead silently. He had to ask for leave from the crew. Asking for leave just a week after starting the machine, to be honest, it really doesn't make sense. 8 o'clock in the evening, remember not to be late. It was very late, Zhang Yao yawned. She winked at Gu Huiyan and said. Also, remember to dress up handsomely. If you embarrass your sister, she won't let you go. After saying that, she turned around and left. Her figure under the streetlight was still quite bumpy. I don't know if it was because she had given birth to a child. Her butt was quite big, twisting and swaying. Gu Huiyan will definitely not be greedy for this. He just has a headache. It feels like all kinds of bad things have happened together recently. It was getting late, so the assistant came over to remind him, and after saying hello to a few acquaintances, Gu Huiyan got in the car to catch the plane. On the way, Gu Huiyan told Zhang Nuan about Monday's itinerary. It didn't matter. Artists always have their own way of being in the world. It's normal to squeeze in some time to go out for a party or something. What's more, Gu Huiyan recorded 2 new songs this time, Dangerous Party and Listen to Me. These 2 songs originally needed to squeeze in time to record, so they just took off Monday to record the songs. Then I'll ask for leave from the crew. Zhang Nuan asked Gu Huiyan. Gu Huiyan thought for a while and said, I'll call the director myself. It was embarrassing to ask for leave just over a week after filming started. I felt it was not sincere when I went to the assistant to tell the director. It was like I was trying to be a big name. Just say it yourself. With that said, Gu Huiyan found director Zhang's phone number. Hey, teacher Xiaogu. It seemed that the crew hadn't finished work at this time. When he received a call from Gu Huiyan could hear the sound of work on the phone. This drama is a group drama, and it has a leading female lead. The male lead does not have as many roles as the female lead. If Gu Huiyan can't push for the male lead's role, he will naturally push for other roles first. There are some night scenes in the movie. I took advantage of the short time since I started filming to get excited, so I shot as many shots as I could. Busy now. Gu Huiyan exchanged a few words with the director. Director Zhang was confused by this sudden courtesy and couldn't help but say, if you have anything to say, just say it directly. This makes me a little scared. Gu Huiyan then laughed and said, what's the matter? Can't I just have a phone call with you? The director said that the main reason is that I am very busy and I am staring at the set right now. If you have nothing to do, I will hang up. Gu Huiyan's old face turned dark and then he reluctantly mentioned the matter of asking for leave. What surprised Gu Huiyan was that after hearing this, the director asked strangely. You want to take leave too? What do you mean? Gu Huiyan keenly heard the strangeness in the director's words and couldn't help but ask. Aha, nothing. Director Zhang laughed, not knowing what he was thinking of, but he said. It's okay, it's okay. I understand. Just be busy. Just remember to come back on Tuesday. It's not like he has never filmed with such a big name. Gu Huiyan is quite good at it. He can spare time for filming. Many top-notch young people wish they could finish filming during the day and fly away immediately. I flew back the next day. Moreover, many of the big names had their assistants say it in a noticed tone. Gu Huiyan, who was so much more popular than them, even made a phone call to discuss it in person, which was actually quite good. Oh, don't worry, I'll definitely be able to go back on Tuesday. Gu Huiyan didn't ask any more questions, thinking that director Zhang was talking about other actors on the crew who also wanted to take leave. After a brief chat, we hung up the phone. Here in Yunnan. After hanging up the phone, director Zhang scratched his head helplessly, smiled bitterly, and said to himself, the male and female protagonists are asking for leave together, how do you want the scene to be filmed? But he didn't dare to say anything more. Who would let Gu Huiyan and Xilan be more famous than the other? Ka. Okay, take a rest. There happened to be a scene there, and Xilan came over to rest. Director Zhang smiled meaningfully at her and said. Have fun with teacher Xiaogu tomorrow. Siren. Xilan was drinking water at that time, and when she heard this. Ahem. The mature sister choked on her mouthful of water. What the hell? What is the director saying? What does it mean to have fun with teacher Xiaogu? How does this sound like the two of them are going on a secret date? Where are you? And what is that meaningful look in your eyes? Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Bulletin Shi Swan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 293. It was already Monday night when Gu Huiyan arrived in Guangdong, and it was already past 6 o'clock when he arrived at the hotel. There was nothing he could do. He flew to Shanghai last night. He had an endorsement job to keep busy, and then he also had to record songs and so on. It was good to be able to fly to Guangdong at night. That is to say, Gu Huiyan's singing skills are excellent. If it were a different singer, It would take several days just to record Dangerous Party and listen to me. I'll dress you handsomely tonight. Knowing that Gu Huiyan was going to attend a private gathering of friends, the stylist prepared clothes sponsored by several endorsers for Gu Huiyan in advance. To be honest, Gu Huiyan has a really good foundation. Although he has been tanned a lot recently because he traveled to and from Yunnan and Hainan to film and record variety shows without wearing sunscreen, his dark complexion actually makes him look more masculine. Wearing a crisp black suit and spraying a little hairspray to give him a spiky look, you might as well think of him as a suited thug. When he saw Gu Huiyan, who had dressed up well, Zhang Nuan couldn't help but praise and said, "My brother usually doesn't dress up. If he looks a little more refined, he can completely blind a group of people." This is really true. Gu Huiyan is usually too sloppy, casual, low-key and down-to-earth. Some people always say that he is not worthy of Pei Jingshu, but if you look at him dressing up a little, how can he not be worthy? How are you, a proper noble man? I just don't know why, but Gu Huiyan seems to be in a bad mood. Although he communicated with the stylist and assistant throughout the whole process, he rarely smiles and occasionally looks dazed. The staff didn't know what was going on and didn't dare to ask. They just had to do their own thing. Dressed up nicely, they set off by car at around 7:30 and headed to the location Zhang Yaofa sent to Gu Huiyan. It was a club for holding banquets. It was in a manor. There seemed to be golf in the manor. Even at night, the manor was brightly lit. When we arrived at the entrance of the club, we did see a lot of luxury cars, but most of them were business cars. After all, business cars are important for comfort. When Gu Huiyan got off the car, a waiter took him in, and he arrived at a banquet-like hall often shown in TV dramas. The place was decorated magnificently, and every guest at the table who was laughing and chatting was also wearing magnificent clothes. Tuxedos, evening dresses, etc. You can see them everywhere here. The floor is carpeted and there is no sound when walking, so even if many women are wearing high heels, you can't hear the click-click sound of their feet on the floor. Teacher Xiaogu. Hello, long time no see. Why are you here? Many people at the scene recognized Gu Huiyan, many of whom were friends. He had been in the industry for more than a year and had become famous almost a year ago. If you say that Gu Huiyan doesn't know anyone in the industry, then that's impossible. Come and play, come and play. Gu Huiyan casually answered a few artist friends who greeted him, and also said hello to a few strangers who came to say hello. Occasionally, people would come over and ask for photos, autographs, etc., and Gu Huiyan was not stingy. Because when he first became famous last year, he also attended some management games with Zhang Ma, so although Gu Huiyan is not very good at such scenes, he will not make a fool of himself at least. The people who come here currently seem to be basically those who have no status or status. Most of them are celebrities. Even if they are not celebrities, they are behind the scenes, management, etc. Anyway, I am engaged in this industry. Strictly speaking, I can't say how high the standards are. It's far inferior to some of the capital bureaus Zhang Ma took Gu Huiyan to, but the people in this auditorium are all respectable people. What kind of situation is this? Gu Huiyan looked at what looked like a cake in the distance, and couldn't help but smile bitterly and said to himself, this couldn't be whose birthday, right? The young woman Yao just called him to come and didn't tell him what the situation was, which made him confused and didn't know how to answer when asked, and she even said she was just having fun. He probably didn't like the scene of exchanging greetings and false politeness. After greeting several people he knew in turn, Gu Huiyan ran away to eat with a dinner plate. This is a buffet-style dinner party with a high standard. Bacon, ham, melon, red wine, etc. can be found everywhere. And it doesn't look like a very low-end thing. For example, the ham was filmed by service staff on the spot. A large piece of ham was placed there and you can feel the full visual impact just by looking at it. Gu Huiyan had never eaten ham, so he took the plate and got a whole plate and ate 1 or 2 slices. He didn't think it was too delicious or too satisfying, so he grabbed a handful and showed off. The food in these places is quite good, but they are too stingy. How about the thin slices of ham that are so thin that you can just send it to the beggar? When those foreigners saw it, they thought Gu Huiyan couldn't afford it. 1 more plate. No. Press the jinn to show off. £1 per person. Really, that's all Gu Huiyan could do. Occasionally, people would look at Gu Huiyan, but they didn't say anything. Some even said that Mr. Gu is so cute and real. It turns out that you are so down to earth offline. Gu Huiyan didn't care, and answered while eating. To be honest, the reason why they complimented her was not because of Gu Huiyan Hong. If the person who eats like this today is not Gu Huiyan, but an amateur, do you think they still have this attitude? So, other people's opinions are just like dogs farting. Gu Huiyan has not been in a good mood these past 2 days. He is always worried. He does have friends here, but not many, and they are not very familiar with him. He doesn't like to be polite, so he just puts the pressure on him. Eat on. Eating is Gu Huiyan's best way to relieve stress. When his mouth is full of delicious food, his happiness index will skyrocket. Anyway, the buffet here has a lot of food, and the quality is also high. Gu Huiyan was busy working in the morning and didn't eat well at noon. He had to catch a plane in the afternoon and was tired of traveling without a good rest. He just happened to replenish his energy. Occasionally, someone will take pictures of Gu Huiyan with their mobile phones, and Gu Huiyan doesn't care. If these things are posted online, they can increase his system points. Nowadays, domestic entertainment is becoming more and more popular, and more artists are imitating his route. Gu Huiyan could not earn many points in the last variety show. In the future, he may really have to rely on those passerby's perspective videos to gain system points. Follow the trend. Gu Huiyan became furious when he mentioned this matter. MD's follower dogs rushed in when they saw an opportunity, and they caught a sheep and plucked it with all their might, without any shame at all. Those who write songs to follow the trend, those who write novels to follow the trend, whatever the hell, they follow the trend. It's okay if you say you can come up with something. The most terrible thing is that you don't have anything at all, and you still take away other people's traffic. This is very hurtful and hummed. What interrupted Gu Huiyan, the cooking maniac, was a sigh of surprise at the door. At that time, Gu Huiyan was eating cakes when he heard a sound coming from the entrance in the distance. When he looked over, ahem! Gu Huiyan almost had his throat stuck with a mouthful of cream cake. The one wearing a cyan high-end brand name tube top dress and a pair of sky-high aura full-out styles, who else could it be but the red carpet goddess Xylin? After all, she is the goddess who has dominated domestic entertainment red carpets for many years. Xylin is really discerning when it comes to choosing clothes. A color like tender green will look cheap if you don't wear it well, but Xylin seems to complement this color perfectly. The skirt itself is not designed to tighten the waist, but she specially added a belt to embellish it, which not only plays a finishing touch, but also specially the waist is tightened to enhance the figure. A pair of long legs that are already round and slender, coupled with a pair of simple silver white high-heeled shoes that look like crystals, gives you a very royal feeling in no time. Of course, you have to say what is the most eye-catching thing about this outfit. That must be the tube top design of my sister's dress. That's a tube top? My sister has a good and well-proportioned figure, but the slightly tight tube top dress creates a deep ravine on her chest. At first glance, this career line looks like it will make people drool or even sink into it. It is worth mentioning that in terms of hairstyle, my sister gave up the big waves that she has always worn, and instead tied her hair into some nice braids, which has pretty good texture. She also specially added a decorative princess crown. It's said to be a princess tiara, but my sister's aura doesn't look like a princess at all, but more like a queen. Okay. Not only the superior head-to-neck ratio and head-to-body ratio can be seen at a glance, but the pretty face that is white and glowing and full of exotic style makes people forget to leave at a glance. Such Xylan seems to be glowing, and many people will look away embarrassedly when they look at her. There really is no one left with this aura, okay. No wonder Gu Huiyan heard a startling sound just now. It turned out to be Sister Xylan who appeared. To be honest, Gu Huiyan was quite surprised. He really didn't expect that Xylan would come tonight. At this moment, he finally understood why when he called the director and asked for leave, the director was very strange and embarrassed and said yes. The actor who asked for leave was not someone else but Sister Xylan. The male and female lead actors asked for leave together, which is really not easy for a director to do. Siren. Haven't seen you for a long time. This is probably because Xylan is so glamorous tonight, so many friends she knows are rushing to recognize her, and some friends enthusiastically help her introduce others, showing how familiar they are with Xylan. It has to be like knowing Xylan is very honorable. The battle was bigger than when Gu Huiyan came in. Gu Huiyan couldn't help but complain. Hypocritical. I don't know if it was because Xylan was making a lot of noise when she arrived, but Zhang Yao, who Gu Huiyan had not seen for a long time, suddenly walked out from inside. Honey. She didn't shy away from it at all. She directly hugged Xylan, holding hands and chatting like good sisters for a long time. The movement became louder, and many people looked over there. Gu Huiyan is an E-person, a social gangster, that's fine, but he won't be loud in such situations, which feels quite embarrassing. He would rather be an I-person on such occasions. But the young woman Yao doesn't seem to have such concerns. She is wearing a dark red hip-hugging skirt tonight, the ring on her hand is set with diamonds, and the jewelry on her head is made of precious stones. In terms of luxury and flavor, to some extent she is no worse than Siren. Everyone seemed to be proud to know Xylan tonight, and she seemed to be the best among them. Even though she didn't tell anyone that she and Xylan were good friends, she kept saying dear to Xylan. Everyone can see that they have a good relationship, right? Some people are discussing in private that this Zhang Yao is really powerful, and except for her, the group of people together tonight may not be qualified to invite Xylan. What occasion was Siren attending? It is a large-scale international film festival, a red carpet with golden rooster and 100 flowers, and a world stage like Cannes. Even if they attend privately, they are usually reserved for bosses from the management, and they rarely attend gatherings of their size. Even tonight's boss is probably not qualified to call her here. That's Zhang Yao. Thinking of this, many people looked at the young woman Yao with envious expressions. Of course, many people were quite jealous. They also slandered her privately, saying that Zhang Yao was uninhibited after her divorce and spread scandals with all kinds of young women all day long. It's a shame that Xylan and her are still best friends, so they are not afraid of being led astray. At that time, there were several envious female celebrities around Gu Huiyan who spoke ill of Zhang Yao. They heard some people saying that she often had scandals with Xiao Xianro, which made Gu Huiyan a little embarrassed to recognize Zhang Yao. Now that he is acquainted with Zhang Yao will definitely say that he was invited by her. Then won't he also become a member of the young wife Yao's little fresh meat harem? Thinking of this, Gu Huiyan secretly turned his back and pretended to be eating without seeing Yazi. But who knew he had just turned his back? Gu Huiyan. A shout from the young woman Yao came from behind. At that time, Gu Huiyan's delicate body trembled. He held his forehead silently, looking like he had a headache. At that time, Gu Huiyan felt that many people were looking at him. To be honest, Gu Huiyan really didn't want to make a show off on this occasion. But it was obvious that Zhang Yao did not agree. Why did you end up eating here? I've been looking for you for a long time. She called Gu Huiyan and pulled Xylan towards Gu Huiyan. How did he? Xylan was also stunned at the time. Before she came, she had heard from the director that Gu Huiyan had something to do on Monday and would have to arrive on Tuesday, but she never thought that Gu Huiyan would be here tonight. After being stunned for a while, she looked at her best friend Zhang Yao next to her, with a look that contained a bit of unkindness, and at the same time she frowned without a trace. Of course, she didn't say anything and her expression quickly returned to normal, and she was led by Zhang Yao to Gu Huiyan. Zhang, Sister Zhang Yao. Gu Huiyan put down his plate and greeted Zhang Yao with a grin. If you don't look for me when the time comes, you can eat it by yourself. The young woman Yao gave him a charming look. Maybe it was because she had eaten cake just now. Gu Huiyan had cream on his mouth. He couldn't notice it, but Zhang Yao saw it at a glance. Do not move. She picked up a tissue from the side and wiped Gu Huiyan's mouth in front of so many people. At that time, you didn't even know how those people looked at Gu Huiyan. Gu Huiyan felt that they were just like those soft-boiled men who were kept by rich women. Even Xylan's red phoenix eyes couldn't help but stare slightly, and her pupils shrank a bit. I'll do it myself. Gu Huiyan reacted quickly, grabbed a tissue and wiped it himself. Hey, are you still shy? Zhang Yao giggled. She didn't care about the eyes of the people around her at all, and even glanced at Xylan beside her. Seeing that something was wrong with Xylan's expression, she smiled slyly like a fox who had succeeded in her plot, and then said in a voice that only the three of them could hear. I've already kissed you, why are you so shy just wiping your mouth? Gu Huiyan. At that time, Gu Huiyan was stunned. He had never kissed anyone before. Who has kissed you? Don't slander me, okay? But when his eyes met Zhang Yao's, he suddenly remembered that night. Although Zhang Yao didn't kiss him on the mouth, she must have kissed him on the face, so it seemed like. Have you kissed? No, but you can't say that, right? Before Gu Huiyan can refute. He noticed a cold, sinister gaze directed at him. Kissed. When Gu Huiyan heard Sister Xylan's voice, there was actually no change in her tone, and she couldn't hear anything cold. Even when Gu Huiyan looked over, all he saw on her sister's exotic and pretty face was a smile. I don't know why. These two words seemed to be strung together for Gu Huiyan and roasted on the fire. No. No, Sister Xylan, it's not what you think. Gu Huiyan still wanted to explain, but Xylan was not in a hurry, so she just stood there with her hands behind her hands and looked at Gu Huiyan with a smile. She was smiling, because she was dressed very beautifully tonight and her smile was quite gentle. But I don't know why, but that smile makes Gu Huiyan feel a little cold. That expression seems to be saying, come and explain to me. If you don't explain well, you will be responsible for the consequences. Gu Huiyan felt quite guilty. Sometimes Gu Huiyan doesn't understand. He obviously has no strange relationship with Sister Xylan. She is not Gu Huiyan's girlfriend. How can he feel guilty about her? It would be fine if Pei Jingsha felt guilty while caring about Huinan here, but how guilty was she in front of Xylan? But the problem is, facing his sister's gaze, Gu Huiyan feels completely guilty. For a moment, Gu Huiyan felt like he was afraid of being discovered by his mother when he did something wrong as a child. How strange. Dad. Gu Huiyan was thinking about the words in his mind, but after thinking about it for a long time, he realized that it seemed difficult to talk about it. He couldn't tell Xylan that he sent the young woman Yao back to the resort room that night, and she hugged him and chewed her up, right? She didn't kiss her on the mouth, but she was kissed on her face and neck countless times. When she left her room, there were lipstick marks on Gu Huiyan's clothes. The lethality of saying this is not lower than kissing directly, right? So it's really special. It's not easy to explain. Puff. Zhang Yao was amused. She giggled and helped Gu Huiyan out and said, okay, I won't tease you anymore, I'm just joking. At that time, Xylan's eyes moved over, her eyes seemed to say. Can this kind of thing be a joke? Why are you staring at me like this, my dear? Zhang Yao hooked Xylan's arm without any hesitation and said with a smile. You really don't care who is yours. When she heard this, for a moment, Xylan's beautiful and delicate face twitched without a trace. She actually wanted to put all the cakes that Gu Huiyan had not finished on Zhang Yao's head. No joke. Real. She can do it. Don't doubt it.